Hello? 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 Oh, hey, gang. Didn't see you there. It's your boy Goose. I'm still stuck. I've been stuck in the game for about a week now. I escaped Quarry, got into Waterway, and then I was respawned in the lobby. And I've been here for about 3 days. So yeah, I don't know if there's somebody we can call, like the fire department or like the devs or like Gelearthur, but I'm like stuck. So yeah. Huh. But you know what that doesn't prevent? It doesn't prevent us from bringing you the next episode of Dashcast starting right now. We've got the cycle highlights. We've got the cycle Circleback. We've got Emdubs Players of the cycle. And then we've got the Dash League Legends being announced, our version of the Hall of Fame, and that starts right now, and it's an extra long episode, so grab some snacks, grab some drinks. I don't have any of that here. I've been eating robots. That's probably not healthy, but we're going to watch this extra long episode of Dashcast, and it starts right now on Dash League Network. Here we go. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me over here by the selection board. I programmed it to play the Cycle Circleback, and Emdubs actually edited the video for us, so it's going to be even more exciting. And here we go with your Cycle Circleback for Cycle 3. First, we've got Acid taking on TBDI. Acid wins 2-0. Tom went on a 17 kill streak in this match, and he'll be featured in the highlight reel, that full clip. But Gold jumps up here, grabs the button, but then Hero comes in and says, nope, that's my button. UNSC beats Control 2-0. Rusty and Sandman and all the other UNSC members absolutely going crazy, getting this win. Like, look how long Rusty pushes this card here. Just look at that beauty. And UNSC takes this volcano and gets that 2-0 win. Sandman doing Sandman things, and you'll see more Sandman later. But Phoenix beat Southern Cross. There's 2 X's there. That's awesome. 2 X names. You don't see that that often. Kareem backroom shooting, gets 1 kill, gets 2 kills, gets 3 kills. Do I have a 4th? Nope, not in this clip. Axion riding the cart, but then Phoenix says no, and Phoenix gets the 2-0 win after taking the volcano. Rap killed as he's pushing the button, and .com doing .com things. Phoenix gets the victory. Iron beat Limbo 2-0. Limbo put up a good fight, but this was a little bit too much for Limbo to handle. And Iron gets the 100% on Abyss, and then Dragon jumping up, pushing the button, holding, dancing, gets a kill, holds. There it is. And Iron gets the win. Emu beat hard. Don't have the footage of that. Don't know where it went. But then Wolf beat Limbo 2-1. Limbo putting up a great fight here. Hodge trying to get those rockets over that cart, gets taken out, and Romeo jumps on the cart and pushes it through. Look at that. Expert cart riding there. Limbo comes back and wins the volcano. But then, double control point. I don't know why I put up 4 fingers. Double control point. Sith beat Fire 2-0. Again, Fire, look at that. They're so close, yet so far away. And Sith holds on, gets the win on Abyss. Fire comes back, though, and wins that volcano. But Reader Gator has those SMGs and goes on an absolute terror. And Sith ends up winning. Acid took on Jester, won 2-1. Duskull with these rockets. Look at that. Boom. Oh. Boom. But then Hero jumps on the cart last second, and Acid takes that Abyss. Jester comes back, though, says nope, not this time, and wins the volcano, but then they take it to a double control point. And look at that. Look at that. So much dancing around. Acid ends up taking the control point. Then we go on to Sky versus Rook. Biased Goose is coming out. This was a fantastic match to play in. Loved every second of it, except Lobster Masters and Hodge's rockets in this jelly room were not fun. They did such a good job getting these rockets up, and Sky could just not take them down. Rook takes the Abyss, but then Sky comes back, takes the Volcano, expert button holding there, Wanderer and Quick Draw, and then Sky ends up taking the control point. Thank you, Little Tipsy, for commentating on that match. Then we've got Life bringing back their life, and they win against Supernova, except HAL Blackpool is just a menace in that back room. If you didn't watch that whole match, go ahead, pause this and go watch this match, because it was an expert match. It was awesome. Every second of it. And then we've got UNSC beating Supernova. I don't think UNSC can be stopped, especially when Sandman is doing things like this. You'll see a highlight of him later on, but those shocks are just crazy. UNSC, Sandman, Rusty, the rest of the team, Taser's in there. I can't see from here. I can't see from here, but that was good. Iron took on Rook. This is the same outcome as the Limbo match. It was a little bit too much for Rook to handle. Iron, arguably a Dasher team, took on Rook and came away with the victory, 2-0. And I'm just gonna dance. Oh, shout! Expert button holding there. Sky versus Hacks. Again, Bias Goose. This is another fun match to play in. Sky ended up taking the Abyss, but then Hacks comes back, deploys their hacks. I'm not accusing anybody of hacking, but Hacks won the Volcano and took it to a control point, double control point, and Sky came away with the victory. Underdog taken on Hard. Underdog, super underrated in my opinion. My humble opinion. Underrated team. And Underdog gets the victory versus Hard. Ajax beats Fire 2-0.
We've got overtime by Ajax. But
Bulldog has these rockets up, and then Texas Toast isn't afraid of anything. Jumps on the cart, gets taken out, more taken out, and I can't even. Everybody's just dying. But they're all jumping on a cart. But Ajax ends up taking both maps. And then Sage Birdie with these shocks. Glad you're back, Sage. Missed you.
At the last moment, Texas.
Control taken on 12 a.m. Again, 12 a.m. put up a really good fight. This was an excellent match to watch. I was watching it live, and it was such a fun match.
Another control countdown.
Don't know if the players had fun playing in it. Don't know. I hope so. I hope everybody has fun playing this game. But it was awesome. And Control takes on Midnight and wins. Servoid, look at that. Control wins. Then we've got Envy taking on Southern Cross. And Venom here, just in their spawn completely. Just look at this. Venom just being a menace in their spawn, taking out the cart, jumping on, and they get that victory. And then later on, Koala doing koala things.
Oh, and Axiom counters
and Envy beats Southern Cross.
One up for Southern Cross.
Nice. Then we got ATX taking on Jester. This is another good match. Toshiro just pushing this cart, unafraid of anything gets taken out, but they pass that goal. And then Hugo here with the shocks, bothering the heck out of Jester. Oh, no. Boom, ATX win. Sith beats Wolf 2-0. Another nail biter here. Look at this. Look up in the middle. Look up in the middle. Look at the percentages there. And Sith holds on and gets this victory. Boom. So close. Such a nail biter. Love that game. And then later on, in the volcano. Sith comes back. They were down, but Sith came back and won. Excellent. Love to see that. XP beat TBDI 2-0. And Ajax Water here. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You'll be hearing more about Ajax Water coming up in another segment. But they hold on a nail biter here. And XP gets the win there. Gets the win on Volcano. Ajax Water just popping off the entire time. And you'll see this player has their own highlight too. XP then took on ATX. And again, look at the leaderboard. And look at the top of it. Ajax Water popping off yet again.
As you can see, they just
Absolutely
need a
stunning
few
showing.
more units of measure to get the point.
Here's the nail biter.
That payload
Here's
goal.
the nail biter. There it is. I said the other match was the nail biter, but that's the nail biter right there.
I'd rather at
More
least
footage of
9 games.
Ajax. Nice. And they hold on, and they beat ATX. And we're almost done. We're on the home stretch here. Home stretch. Life took on 12 a.m. I commented on that game. That was a good game. 12 a.m. midnight. Sugarcane coming out of spawn with a vengeance and just taking out all of the members of Life pretty much. And they were popping off at the beginning of this match. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge again. You'll be seeing more of this. Life didn't end up coming back and taking both maps, but Midnight put up such a good fight. Super proud of them. Super good match. And I'm a little biased here again, biased Goose, but I commented on this match, and we had both team captains do interviews at the end, so you should go watch that. And then lastly, Envy versus Phoenix happening at the exact same time as the other match.
Incredible pick there from
And again, .com trying his best, but you know, koala just doing koala things, and this payload didn't end up moving much at all after this. Yep, there it is. 3-2-1. Envy wins the Abyss, and then moving on to the Volcano. Phoenix did score a point here, but Envy ends up taking this, and Koala once again doing koala things, and they secure that victory. So that is your Cycle Circleback, and I hope you enjoyed it. Emdubs did the editing on this. I'm still stuck in here, so I can't really edit all that much, but thank you to Emdubs for doing all that editing. And I guess I'm going to try to find my way out of here. Yeah. All right, here's your cycle highlights for Cycle 3. Starting off strong, we've got Tom going on an absolute crazy 17 kill streak versus TBDI. And I'm just going to let this play out because this is a great first highlight. Then next up we got Junko going on an equally crazy and fast-paced kill streak. And he jumps on and off the cart, getting all of these nice kills versus Limbo. Then we've got Satan Slayer defending the cart. Jumps off, gets a kill, jumps back on, jumps up, and then trades with .com. Then we've got Aspie going on a 9-kill streak with the Rockets, and somebody tries to jump up and get him, and he says nope, and makes that 10. And we've got Rusty versus Push. Push has Rockets and gets a behind-the-back kill. Let's take a look at that one more time. Look at that, boom! Then we've got Persona from last cycle, because I forgot to put this in. Bad Goose. But Persona's going on a crazy shock kill streak right here.
You really got to take advantage of that high ground. With
Definitely highlight worthy right now.
Rockets, and if you can't be effective.
So sorry, Persona, for not putting this in last cycle.
She's on an 8 kill streak right now.
Yep. Make that 9. Make that 10.
Wow.
Then we've got Push again with some high-quality rocket control here. Look at this S-curve that he does, going up over the shield. Doesn't get a kill, but it was still cool. We got Darkmoon doing Darkmoon things, going on an absolute crazy kill streak. And interesting enough, Satan Slayer also submitted this highlight video because you'll see in just a moment she's also going on a kill streak versus Envy right here. There you go. Boom. Then we've got F3G4T0 holding down this B button on Volcano, getting a bunch of picks on XP. Then we've got Jester doing Jester things and dancing on the cart that is Warrior Zia and Duxel having a great time on the cart, and then they get taken out. Then we've got Circle of Life going on at the beginning of the match, and then they recreate that in the match. They're holding down that B button to secure the win. There's another look at that.
Alright, last man standing. Not a chance.
Then next up, we got Little Tipsy going absolute crazy on Volcano and not dying at all.
3-0 on 12 a.m.
14 kills, 0 deaths. Absolutely outstanding. We got Sandman going on his own shock rampage. And Supernova is just having such a hard time get on the cart. Sandman not allowing anybody up there.
Another kill. Blind to his left. Sandman is on 9 killing streaks right now. He's double shocked. For the man that's red. Gets another kill off the wall. Sandman on absolutely tear. I think it might be about to get that up and has teammates moving in. Another kill. Double kill there. Can it turn into a quick 12 kill streak? Barely just take up the card.
And now we've got another clip submitted by Emdubs that I forgot to include in the last cycle Circleback, so here it is. Emdubs going on a crazy killing streak on Canyon.
You're getting held by UNC. UNC doing a great job with this one.
And that's a team wipe on Life right there.
Yeah.
So now they've got a natural group up. I wonder if they're going to break this defense.
Yeah. This is usually not a point where you get a but this is really crucial, especially for UNC, to see if they can get this pre-check. They're going to be absolutely taking the shield on the cart. They're not going to let this cart move without the...
Then finally we got Sugarcane breaking right out of spawn and taking down Shocks right away, not giving them any time to set up. And those are your cycle highlights. Don't forget, if you have a cycle highlight, submit it on the Discord for next cycle Circleback.
What's up, everyone? It's Emdubs here, and Season 7 regular season is now past the halfway mark. So it is time to crown our Cycle 3 Players of the Cycle. And as a reminder, Players of the Cycle awards are actually meant to recognize both individual player success and team success. So here are your winners for the past cycle, starting off with the Walker tier. So in the Walker tier, the first player of the cycle is Ajax Water, who top killed and top scored every map for his team XP for this cycle, cycle 3. And he helped XP score a 4-0 perfect cycle 3 map record. And this was highlighted by his 87 and 50 performance against a veteran team, TBDI, on the map Abyss. So great job, Ajax Water. The second player of the cycle for Walker tier is Hero. Now, Hero on Acid led his team in total score and total kills this cycle, and he had a KD of almost 2 for the entire cycle, going 89 and 46 in a tight Abyss matchup against another team, Jester. So great job, Hero, on Team Acid. Now, for the sprinter players of the cycle for cycle 3, first of all, we have Vune, who is a repeat sprinter player of the cycle. And this is his second player of the cycle this season, and he helped Sith go 4-1 in map record for cycle 3. Now, he top scored and top killed for his team in 3 out of the 5 matches. 3 out of the 5 maps that he played the cycle, beating very tough sprinter teams in both Wolf and Fire. So great job to Vune on Team Sith. Now, the second sprinter player of the cycle for cycle 3 is Junko on Team Iron. Junko helped Iron go a perfect 4-0 this cycle in maps, and he led his team in both total kills and total scores throughout the entire cycle, achieving an overall KD of more than 2 for cycle 3. So great job, Junko. Congratulations to him and his team Iron. Now, moving on to the final and the highest tier, the Dasher tier. So this is a little bit harder to choose because we actually have 3 teams that went a perfect 4-0 for this particular cycle. And these teams were Life, Envy, as well as UNSC. So it's kind of tough to choose players of the cycle for this match, for this cycle, but considering the strength of opponents, the individual stats, I went with the following 2 Dashers for players of the cycle. The first one is Sandman, who actually gets his 3rd player of the cycle this season. And Sandman led UNSC to, as I mentioned, a perfect 4-0 map record. He was stellar once again throughout the cycle, leading UNSC in kills for all 4 maps played, including an outstanding 103 and 72 KD performance on Abyss against a very tough team in Control. So good job again, Sandman on UNSC. Congratulations. And lastly, but not least, we have Koala on Team Envy. Now, Koala, as many of us know, arguably the greatest of all-time player in this game, earns his first Player of the Cycle honor this season by leading Envy to, again, a perfect 4-0 map record. And this was highlighted by a very great performance, going 84 and 52 in KD performance against the fellow contender Phoenix on Abyss. So great job to Koala. So to summarize, your Walker players of the cycle for cycle 3 are Ajax Water on XP and Hero on the team Acid. So great job to these guys. And the players of the cycle for the Sprinter tier are Vune from the team Sith and Junko from the team Iron. So great job, guys. And last but not least, the Dasher players of the cycle, Sandman from UNSC and Koala from the team Envy. So that's it. Congratulations to all the players of the cycles for cycle 3, and I'll see you guys in the next cycle.
All right, so let's get into our Legends segment. We had this ballot posted up, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago or whatever, and let people vote on who were basically inducting into the Dash League Hall of Fame. But it's not really a Hall of Fame because typically for a Hall of Fame, you have to be retired for a certain amount of time. But with Legends, you can have living legends. So people who are still doing their craft, but they've already had such a storied background or whatever that they're like living legends. So it's just kind of a crossover between the two. It's a Hall of Fame for living legends also. So anyway, we had a list of 19 candidates and we were going to take 10 of them. And the whole purpose of taking that many, like more than 50% of who was eligible, is because we want to kind of get a little bit more caught up to current times or whatever. And a lot of these people that are going to make it into this first one are just like no-brainers, like default people that would have made it. So like instead of stretching that out over 2 or 3 seasons, let's just knock out a bunch of these people right away. And in seasons to follow, we'll have less candidates and probably induct less people than 10 each time. Otherwise, we're going to end up burning through everyone in just a few seasons and not be able to do the show at all anymore. So anyway, let's get to it. So the people who were eligible, and all these people are deserving, but I'm just going to go through the list alphabetical. We had Angry Parsnip, Darkmoon, Dreday, Eskimo Bear, Fathead, Firehorse, Gamer Smash, Gatsby, Gelearthur, Heis, Laggy, me, Makers, Mr. Well, there's a player in the league named me, not me, Lateralis. Lateralis, Makers, Mr. V, Odd, Reko, Fearless, Style, and Taser. And so that was a list people got to vote on. Votes are in, and I guess you guys could see Fathead's in here already, so you know he was one of the ones that got voted in. He got one of the higher vote counts to get voted in, even though he's been gone for a little while, and a lot of our newer players don't know who he is. But to go over the list of who made it in. Darkmoon, Dreday, Fathead, Gelearthur, Heis, Lateralis, Makers, Odd, Reko, and Styledev. So those are your 10 legends. We're going to go and we're going to talk about each one. We're going to try to talk to live some of the ones that made it here, the ones that are able to join us. And we'll kick it off with Fathead because he's here, able to join us right now. But just before we talk to you, Fat, just a little bit of background on you from my perspective is, so we already had Fathead in one of these Dashcasts, our first one. We had a lore episode. It just sort of talked about the formation of the league. And so people who listened to our first show knew that you recruited me to Elite. And then once I got on Elite, I was like, okay, I found some people that are ready to compete. I want to get a league going. And so you were sort of a catalyst to help get this league going. And then by your personality of just being super sociable, connecting people, all that sort of stuff, you were sort of a glue that kind of held the league together early on and just helped the league be a fun place that people wanted to be a part of and be in the game to play games with Fathead and the other personalities and all this sort of stuff. So you were one of the early pioneers of Dash League and just a general VR enthusiast, and you've got your fingers in all sorts of different games. You have connections with all sorts of different people, and you were just right place, right time to help me get this league off the ground and turn it into a successful thing. So congrats, dude.
Ooh. Congrats. I mean, the way it all happened was just by just having fun, honestly, is how it happened. I mean, originally I was trying to find people in the Discord that had or that wanted to test out the Oculus chat that had just came out with one of the updates on the Quest, and I wanted to try the Oculus chat in game and see what it's like to play Hyperdash without the open chat and to be able to communicate with a team, because that wasn't a capability yet to turn off, team chat. And I got a group of 5 people. I think your name was Erect at that moment.
Yes.
But you weren't in the first group. You weren't even on Discord at that point. And we were playing. We were just kind of messing around, testing it out. And you were on the other team, and you were doing really good. And I was like, who's this fucking erect guy, dude? He's the only one that can even kill us. And we were just murdering every lobby because we had the capability of talking to each other, which no one else had that capability at that point. But then
Do you
we
remember who it
immediately pulled
was that were playing with you?
that very first night. It was Maverick and Whoopsie together, and then also Chem and Maniac.
Yeah,
And then
awesome.
quickly after was Jax, and then what was our homie's name down in like Brazil that kind of disappeared after a while? Maestro, yeah, and Maestro was
6,
early
7,
on
8
also. Yep, 6, 7, 8 was one of the very first also, but I know we pulled you in like very quickly, and then basically we were kind of just trolling. But not because we wanted to troll, but because no one was doing what we were doing, just grouping up and actually playing as a team and communicating with each other and just shitting on everybody that came against us. And we were making, funny names. We were all the Powerpuff Girls one night, and then we were all South Park characters, and then we were all cheerleaders like Jessica and Brittany and Stacy, and we were just doing like cheers on top of people's dead bodies. And then I remember Odd posted on Discord like, who are these Powerpuff Girls? We need to get people to kill these guys. And then I made an account on Discord and started trolling Odd and like talking a bunch of crap to him, like, you can try to put together any. Yeah, I was like, you can put together any team you want, boy. You ain't never gonna take down the Puff Clan, and just kind of just messing with him. And then that sparked him to try to put a team together. And then before he even could, Maker's Boys, the RDF crew, came and they were like, we'll fucking play you guys. And still all of our actual identities were just complete unknowns. And like, I was having conversations with myself on Discord to make it like look like it was us. And we played RDF, we beat them. That was in the early days, but we
peak
beat them.
COVID, by the way. Just to give some explanation for Fathead's behavior.
Peak COVID, but then I remember there was a lot of conflict because in the Puff Clan I had like 4 or 5 people from the HH clan, and they were
Chapo too. Chapo was in there. Yeah,
Chapo, the leader of HH, was in my hidden identity group, and then all of a sudden HH people were like, we need to put together a team to take these people out, and then so we had this complete
players were
we had this complete farce where their best players who were also on our team played against us. And it was pretty good though. I mean, when it all came to light though is when Lat messaged me and was like, hey, I'm thinking about putting together a league for Hyperdash. Would you be interested in helping me run it? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that sounds like a cool idea. After a minute after I said, yeah, dude, sounds like a cool idea, I'd be down, he sends me like a 5 or 6 page document of all these like rules and regulations that he'd written up, and I was like,
not that long.
Well, dude, it was long enough that I was like, oh, he's for real though. Like, you had it all like at least outlined as to what you wanted to do with it, and I was like, we could do it, but we're gonna have to come clean then. And it was like a whole big thing, and there were some people that were pretty butthurt that HH members were in disguise, but then El Chapo was like, it's okay, I'm the boss. So everyone had to be okay
you mentioned how I wasn't on Discord at the time y'all saw me, and the thing with me early on was like, I was trying to figure out if this game was something I wanted to be competitive in. There was, when I played Unreal Tournament 2004, like years ago, I spent so much of my free time playing that game, and I was a little cautious about devoting time to a game again. And like, here the fuck I am now, spending so much of my time on this game. But so I didn't join Discord right away. And once I decided, like, no, this game is fun. It's pandemic. I'm sitting here in this house with like, I can't leave, I can't do anything. Like, yeah, I'll get a little bit more involved in this thing. I'll be social in the game, and I'll join the Discord and whatever.
We just had such a blast playing together, dude. As a big part of it is we had so much fun playing and talking and bullshitting, and we can't forget to mention Despair though. I forgot him until just
fair.
now. He was such a right-hand man for me at one point. Like,
we talked about the Elite Clan and who all was in there during that first lore episode. So yeah, definitely Elite's been talked about. But like I was saying, by the time I joined the Discord, I knew that I wanted to like play competitively. And when you pulled me into that, I wasn't picking clans. Like HH had already asked me to join a couple times, and I wasn't going to join a clan. And when you asked me to join your server, you're like, I'm just like putting together, I'm inviting people to this server who are like good at the game, and we want to, you should join us and whatever. So I came in not knowing it was a team or anything like that, and it wasn't really a team, but it was the Puff people. And so I'm like, oh, here's people who are going around challenging people. That's exactly what I want. These people want to compete. All right, let's get working on this competition. Like, so before I started like talking to you guys about a league, I just had the Discord ready already. So my rules were all posted in one post, but I had like all the channels and all that sort of stuff. I had the Discord ready to go, and Maverick was the first one to join, and then probably you. And you guys were like, "Dude, you're serious? Like this is all set up, all ready to go."
Yeah.
And then you guys all joined. Yeah, and so those were the early days, and
I remember the first time that we actually like tried to get someone to face us though is we had gone in and played, just against lobbies of randoms, and sometimes Odd would be over there, Lumi would be over there, and they would be all pissed off wondering why we weren't talking because we were talking on Discord and or in Oculus chat, not Discord. And then one day we were going into play and Chapel's like, dude, this is so boring. We need to play like actual people like that are good. We need to get people. And I was like, shit, I'll make like an account and I'll just post on the main Discord of Hyperdash that we need people to try to beat us. And post it in odds immediately, like, we'll be there. And then he's like, and then he backed out for like 3 weeks. He's like, us time, we're trying to find our best of our best, and he's got like a Discord channel with like 160 kids in it. He's doing tryouts. He's like, we got to find the best of the best to take on the Puff Clan. I'm like, I'm making little like images of like the Puff Clan eating all the different. What was his clan name? I can't. Why can I not remember?
4D.
Yeah, 4D. It was like the
4D,
4D Thanksgiving. It was eating we were all eating all their heads and like all the different people. But yeah, man. All the times in Dash League were a lot of fun. And the stuff outside of it too, like the tournaments that we set up along the way, were also a lot of fun. All the different things to try to pull people in, like the 1v1 tournaments. And when Deathmatch came out, we did a couple Deathmatch tournaments that were a blast.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you before we move on to the next person. I'm gonna get Style in here in a second, but yeah, early on you were super active running tournaments, just being in everybody knew Fathead, everybody liked Fathead, whatever. But what was the catalyst that you finally stepped away from the league? I know you were like had your hands in like all different games. You were super big in the synth riders and all that sort of stuff. But I know you had talked to me about like some sort of entrepreneurial ideas you had, stuff like that. And I also know you got fed up with like the clan name hive mind toxicity and whatever. Like, what was the final straw for you that got you to like, not be around the community so much anymore?
Well, just because you like mentioned it, I want to at least just touch on it. The clan name hive mind stuff didn't ever make me want to step away from the game by any means. It was hard only in the sense that I was kind of, in terms of the board, I was kind of always the almost the community manager because I was good at people were usually happy talking to me and I could usually kind of find middle ground between people. But that was just kind of like a rough one because Midnight was kind of hard for me to deal with because she was like, it was hard for me because it was intentional trying to piss me off, but not because like it was hard. But a lot of those people in there were all really good people, and like when it's always weird when you get one-on-one with a person, it's completely different. You chill, you have stuff that you can find common ground on, but then when they're all in a group, it becomes kind of hard to work around. But as much as it's probably not like the most fun topic for a podcast about it. It was mostly just life in general, and well, actually, it's probably good for some of the younger people in here to hear that it was mostly just about getting sober. I'm not going to go into what drugs were influencing my day to day, but I was still holding life together. I was still, my house was clean, my stuff was all taken care of, my bills were paid, and I was still living. But COVID made it a lot easier to survive when you were getting a bunch of free money to sit at home and play video games, And so
Yeah.
I made the decision to get sober, and VR became a little bit less exciting. Not that I don't still love it, but it lost a lot of its excitement for me. And I was on teams that needed me. I mean, Lat, you know what it was like to be on teams with me back then, where we would have a game and I'm the fucking captain, and I'm not showing up to the game that I'm supposed to be playing for.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Where the
It's
fuck is Fathead?"
the Fathead coma. It's a classic.
And then
Yeah.
and
did
then
it to me
like
one time on
and
my
then I
team.
set up a giant tournament that over 180 people have signed up to play in this tournament, and then I sleep for 26 hours straight
my
and
God.
don't show up for it was the first sponsored tournament and I don't show up. Like, I mean, there was just things that needed to change, and I mean, I've been sober for like a year and a half now, and I'm just really getting life back where I want it to be without that. And so yeah, I mean, I still absolutely love video games in general. VR is always going to be awesome, but I just can't put as much time into it anymore because it's just not the same for me. And it reminds me, it's almost like a trigger for the old me. But yeah, it was definitely fun.
Yeah.
Well, it was.
And
Don't do
Lat,
drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Or just do them a little, but not like a lot.
No, don't do drugs.
No, yeah, just the small ones. Don't do any of the big ones. Literally, don't do any of the big ones. Don't even try them. They're
Classic
all
Fathead.
not as cool as they seem they are.
So, Lad,
What
I
were
know
you
you
gonna
were
say,
trying to
Vegas?
keep this
Yeah.
short, but I wanted to make one comment. So when
Yeah.
my first lobby ever was with Fathead. He showed me the basics. He did this with a lot of players, but one thing I thought was kind of funny is that lately there's a little bit of a meme of, I think it was, I don't know, is Gom's not with us right now, but anyway, but one of our casters was like talking about someone's backdash, and it became like a meme in the community, like, oh, look at so and so's backdash. But that's what you taught me on my first day.
Yeah.
Meep's back. Yeah, you taught me about backdashing.
I taught so many people. I said, you have the idea that you can point that way, or point that way, and dash. But all you got to do is just close your elbow and point it right back over your shoulder and go backwards. And people aren't going to expect that. Jump over them and then jump right back. And then they turn around. They're like, where the hell did he go? Yeah, that was one of the things that I would always teach people. I taught a lot of people. And I was listening to you explain your list of people that were options for the induction. I was like, I brought like 3 or 4 of those people into the league.
Oh, probably more than that, dude. You were known for like being an introductory. That's why I was saying like you were kind of a glue person early on in the league because you introduced so many people to the league because you were just in the pubs all the fucking time. And you weren't someone who was going to play silent and like try to grind skills and stuff. You were going to talk to everyone, shoot the shit, and be like, "Hey, come join us in the league. It's fun and whatever." And like that was Fathead, and I definitely missed that personality in the league.
It's so weird that I was able to be on 24/7, huh?
Yeah, well,
hey, at least we got to reap the benefits of.
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm happy you were able to get yourself to a better spot, get sober, and all that stuff. Even Amanda was going to be less VR time for you and less time for us to see you and all that. I certainly hope you'll pop your head in every once in a while and say what's up and hop in some VR games with us from time to time, Hyperdash or whatever the fuck it is. I miss you being around and all that.
You'll know when I'm in a lobby with you whether my name's Fathead or not, right? How can you tell if I'm in there? Up. No. Even if I'm not talking, how would you know? My noises, man. Bro. My noises.
Oh yes, you're good. You have the most.
That's like literally
Constipation noise is what I call them.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite stories ever is playing in a pub on Waterway. This is I'll leave right at and I'm in a pub and this guy on my team goes, "Who is making the noises?" And I was like, I said, "What noises?" He's like, "Bro, if you can't hear it, it's you." I was like, "What does it sound like?" He's like, "It sounds like, honestly, it sounds like you're getting some oral going on over there. You're making some weird grunt noises, man." And then I came right back to Elite and I said, "You guys, do I make noises when we're playing?" And you guys were like, "Yeah, dude. So many noises." Like when you run up and you're fighting, we literally know that you're fighting, and we're like, "We got to hurry up and get up there." Fathead's fighting because he's like making grunt noises.
Oh
Yeah, so you'll always
Pushing
know
the
if I'm
pages.
in there. I'm just pushing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
funny.
my last
Yeah.
comment on Fathead is that out of all the years I've been in this community, you're on the very short list of my favorite people for all kinds of different reasons. So, I mean, you've done a lot, and
Yeah, mine
we've done
too.
a lot. You know, like on our own in COVID time. So, you for sure are on a short list, man.
One of the things I'm most proud of is the younger generation. Like Odd was 14 and a half or 15 when we met this kid. And
Yeah.
getting to watch him and whether or like not I'm not just speaking to Odd, but even Darkmoon. Darkmoon was one of my favorite people I ever met because he was like a polite, respectable kid. And 1V who I met and he was respectful and just an awesome guy, and I respected his way that he was a father. And then getting to see these kids grow up, and whether we had a direct influence on their thoughts or not, but the way that we portrayed ourselves did have a subconscious or like influence on how they acted to others. And that was always one of the things I tried to portray in there, is just being nice. Don't fucking be toxic. Toxic environments are shitty in video games. Just fucking help people get better. Don't shit on them for being bad. And yeah.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen.
Well, thanks for popping in,
Absolutely.
Fatty. Love you, buddy. And we'll talk to you again later.
Yeah,
I'm going to see if we can get...
Makers brought it up.
Yep.
We're going to get a poker
Poker.
game going.
Oh, yeah. Poker game would be fucking great.
Yo, it's Fathead. I wanted to add, after thinking about it a little bit today, wanted to clarify that even though I'm kind of like, poking fun at the fact that I was on drugs and shit, it's definitely not something I'm proud of. Those years, any addictions that I've dealt with in my life, which I've had plenty of them, but everybody knows someone, most likely, that's either an alcoholic or had someone in their family who was an alcoholic or a drug addict. It's pretty damn common, but it's not really a laughing matter. I just kind of laugh at everything. But I wanted to say that if you, or I mean, if anyone that watches needs to talk or just wants advice on something in regards to that, or just fucking anything, feel free to hit me up. I'm always wide open to hear what your struggles are, what you're dealing with, give you advice if you want the advice, but definitely just willing to listen in general, as are pretty much a lot of people. Just reach out to someone if you're dealing with some shit. But yeah, that's it.
All right.
Later.
All right, man.
See you.
Later.
Buckaroos.
All right. We're going to see if we can get Styledev in here now. I just messaged him, so hopefully he'll be in here in the next minute or two.
He's here.
Oh, all
I
right.
can feel his power.
Yeah.
The Bald Brotherhood is stronger when he's.
It is.
Oh my God, there's so many bald people in here. At least Goose has enough hair for all three of you, and like y'all all can share.
That's not awake.
So what'd you say?
I said that's not awake.
Nope. And I used to have hair as long as Goose's hair, maybe definitely longer. Actually, I posted a picture of that.
Yeah, but
in the hair
back
contest
when you were
thread.
Ginger Jesus.
Back when I was Red Jesus, that's right. So all right, so we already went over all the names of all the people who got in Style, and we'll go over yours now because you got to be out soon. So we wanted to get you in here real quick before you needed to get out and be back to work. But just to set Style up a little bit, so Style was one of the people who was originally in the league. He started UNSC. Was it with moderation Style that you started UNSC with?
Yep.
Who was the other captain? Mod.
Back when we were in HH.
Yeah.
Back before you destroyed all the clans.
Right. That was when I started destroying clans, when I was like, okay, you could have multiple teams out of one clan. Because if I didn't do that, then Dash League would have just been 4D versus HH, and that's it. So I needed you guys to produce multiple teams. And HH really pulled through in that y'all had like 3 or 4 teams. But 4D, they eventually had 3 teams, but 4D kind of like farmed their other teams because Odd was sort of like, the HH teams, what was cool about them was they all were their own separate team, all run by different people. Yeah. And there wasn't one person at top that was like making moves on the other teams, whereas the 4D teams were like that. And it took us some convincing of Odd, and we talked about this in our lore episode, the first episode. It took some convincing to get Odd to like sort of focus on his one team and stop farming the other teams and whatever, so that he could really turn 4DV, which became Arc, into like a powerhouse that it was. But anyway, I remember what originally got me introduced to you was season 1. I'm making like stat spreadsheets. So this is before we had an API that would automatically pull stuff, but I would just go to every match's scoreboard, which was more manageable back when we only had 10 matches. Well, this wasn't even a week. This was you had 4 teams. I don't think I did stats for season 0. No, I don't think I did stats for that one. I started stats season 1, and maybe
You're right, because I took it over season 2 with the website.
Yeah, I think it was season 1. But anyway, so I was manually entering stats, and it's just taking forever, and I'm trying to learn how to do it more efficiently. And I'm reaching out to some people, on Excel, and reaching out to some people, and someone suggests Styledev. He's like a whiz with that stuff. He'll help you out. And so just by working together on the spreadsheet, our personalities hit it off. We were both joking around and like shooting the shit, and just enjoyed talking with each other and having fun. And like also you had passion for the league as well, and I knew that you were like an organized person and could really help me as someone helping to run the thing, because the league was growing and I was just one person making all the decisions and all that sort of stuff. And I knew like I needed help making decisions, so I'm not just like everything's not just like everything I want all the time, because that's like I recognize in myself that I'm not always going to be right about everything. And so I needed like other people I could bounce ideas off of, who could help share the load and all that stuff. And so you were the first person I brought in to help out with that. And then it was also brought in Fathead and Gatsby. Yeah. And we needed to give the Euros some representation. So we brought Mr. V in as well. Yeah.
We had some good meetings
the
back
5
then.
of us.
Oh,
dude, our
every meeting
rule-making sessions. Yeah, rule-making sessions, which are like 4 to 6 hours for just one session, and then we had a second one. The early board times, like when we all had the passion for it, and when the pandemic had shut everything down, we'd be at a VC for hours getting stuff settled and whatever. But anyway, well deserved to be pulled in as one of the legends. Obviously, you belong there. But anyway, I'll open it up to you to just comment on whatever you want, what your involvement with the league has been and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, I remember, I think Moderation was the one who told you to reach out to me about spreadsheets, because I think I told Moderation that I do web development and technology for a living. And Mod is definitely a connector of people. And so I got in there and I saw your abysmal handling of the spreadsheet and realized you are not a tech person. But I think it was very quick. You brought on Fathead and Gatsby and Mr. V, and we had the first core volunteer group to make Dash League start building it up, and
that was such
it was
a
really
fun
cool.
board.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you're middle of COVID, no one can do anything. Well, at least no one else. I still had my job, but Fathead and Gatsby were had tons of time back then, and it was good. We hung out a lot too. I think playing Hyperdash together and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but I think a fun fact here to reveal to everybody, which always makes laugh, is that everyone thinks that I am going to be more lenient than Lat. And there's nothing more wildly inaccurate than that thought, that people for some reason have a collectively come together.
I never
to
thought
determine me. Yeah, I was going to say the only one I feel like might be on the inside know of that would be you makers.
Yeah, I know who you are, Style.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like I catch so much shit for being like hard against toxic people and for baiting the people I have and that sort of stuff. And I'm like, and I've even told some of the people like some of the people I might be DMing, they're like, well, what does Styledev think about it? Because like you can't just make it. I'm like, trust me, you would already be banned if Styledev was making this decision. Like we've had conversations before. Yeah, we've had conversations, me and Style, before where he's like, just ban him. But I'm like, dude, half of the community is going to be pissed off and might leave. And he's like, fuck them. The people who will stay will be more fun to play with. It's like Style would have like banned so many people so quick. And looking back on it, dude, honestly, looking back on it, we should have done that. I should have given you the reins for like some of those people that should have just been banned a long time ago, and I kept giving chances and whatever.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, the innocent, if I probably would have taken out a couple innocents, and that would probably included makers at one point. So I'm glad you were here to tempt.
I'm invincible, Style.
The sword.
No, Style would have like fucked you over, makers. Back when you and Odd were going,
you already did the MMR miscalculation. Come on, guys, it already happened.
Hey, makers. It's not a miscalculation if you intended to do it.
See, that's what I'm saying. I see you, Style. I see you.
Yeah, I think that's the other funny thing about the league and whatnot was just all the calls about bias. And one of the things that was funny with UNSC was if you ask one up crit, he'd be like, it's not that Style has bias, it's anti-bias. I was always like, hey, I got stuff going on, I don't really want to play in playoffs.
Style would have biased his own team out of playoffs if he could have, because he didn't want to have to play. He's like, I got other shit to do. But that seemed like depended on you so much. You knew like if you made playoffs, you were gonna have to be there and like practice and play and all that.
So I mean, so like I guess we're just the truth let out. Like I'm way more less lenient than Lat, and definitely was anti-biased against my own team versus being biased. But no, I think the coolest thing is we built this from the ground up. We definitely had VRML come in early and was like, hey, we want to work with you guys. And I remember that meeting clear as day, and then being kind of like, instead of working with you, they were going to take everything over and we would just do all the work. And I remember you and me and Gatsby and Fat just saying like, well, hell, if we're going to do all the work, like, it should be our names on this, our vision. And by our names, I mean Dash League.
Yeah,
exactly. They weren't going to let us keep that.
Like, I don't even think this show... I don't think this show would even be happening right now if that happened.
No, it wouldn't.
Nah, there's no way I'd still be around. I would have left a long time ago.
You would have been fired.
I'm sure a lot of it. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would have.
I'm DMing VRML right now.
Yeah.
Go for it. I don't think they're big fans of us anymore, because we got really close to inking that deal, and then last minute we kind of pulled out of it, and that was also helped by Poonanners, who is like a pretty well known VR broadcaster and stuff like that. He's got his hands in a lot of different VR things as well. And that's, talking about Fathead and the connections that he was able to provide. Fathead hooked me up with Poonanners, and that guy's been a fun or has been a good ally and friend over time also. And he was just like, man, you don't need VRML. You already have a casting apparatus, and you're already running this league, better than any other league that's going on right now. You guys have got it going on, and you don't need them to come in and just take over. And it's like, yeah, I agree, because like we've already got all this stuff going on. They're gonna want to replace Dre, who's our caster, and with their own people. They're gonna want him to or all of our cast to just slap VRML all
Dude,
over
I
it.
totally forgot about
logo
Dre.
And yeah, Dre is in this thing also. We put him in the Legends thing despite
I miss Dre.
the falling out and all that stuff. But despite how terrible our working relationship was, Dre definitely deserves to be in here also. We'll talk about
Yeah,
him.
that's my one regret was not trying to find time. I mean, it was COVID, it was lockdown, no one knew what was happening. To go up and meet him, have a beer before I left California, but
he had invited us.
That guy, I have to. He did, yeah, but I just couldn't do it. I mean, I had all that stuff going on, and I was like, But I have to say, I'm really excited, Goose, that you're on board to have a new personality come in and pick up the mantle. I mean, big shoes to fill, but you're doing a great job, and I love all the talent and creativity that you're bringing to Dash League. And I would say, we're the people who volunteer for this league do so out of a deep passion for just the camaraderie and the amazing friendships that kind of were born out of Hyperdash during COVID. There's a lot of stories out there of people from their COVID time struggling a lot, but I think everyone here who had found Hyperdash and subsequently Dash League had a really different story and takeaway because of this. So I guess sorry, that was a long way to say I think you're awesome and welcome aboard. I know I haven't really been publicly out there much lately, but my passion is starting to come back for all this stuff.
I hope it does, because it'd be amazing to have you back. And I know you're talking to Goose there, but I don't know if you said Goose. But
I did say Goose.
Said, yeah. Goose is doing, and I've told Goose before too. He's killing it. He's doing awesome with the casts and carrying a heavy load right now. Also making graphics and animations and all that sort of stuff. And
The funny thing is like I'm looking at the screen here with the new design bars that going around the edge, and that all happened because Mr. V came back and was like, look, Style, the YouTube thumb embed hasn't changed in a couple seasons. We need to do something different. And I'm like, I just haven't had the time. He's like, I'm going to do something. So a month goes by and he comes back and he basically drops me the same thumbnail, but now it says season 7 on it. Something broke inside of me. And I was like, dude, I can't have the graphical update to this just saying literally the words season 7. I mean, God love Mr. V, but he is a robot after all. But coming in and coming up and taking the design reins again to bring out a new style for the next 2 seasons, and then to see Goose come in and do some really cool stuff with it, just like the subtle animations here and the different effects that have been going into the league. It's really starting to kind of encourage me to keep on trucking. So I've got a lot of cool stuff planned that I've been working on here and there. A lot of stuff that people, I think, are looking forward to, like, for instance, using Discord to log into the site, but also, marrying the website and the Discord a little bit closer together, because I know all those young kids out there, they don't know how to type into an address bar. All they know is / commands in Discord. So hopefully here in a couple of seasons, I know it's going to take me a bit, we're going to have a really cool interface to interact with stuff. I'm also planning some interesting stuff for captains and teams around stats and, not official stats, but like practices and scrimmages. And then also I've got what do you call that? A rod in the fire with Gelearthur to do like a dash cam equivalent for captains for practices and scrimmages. Ooh. To do live streaming stats. That might also probably, Goose will probably say, hey, I want to do that too. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening in behind the scenes. I know I'm not out there in the channels. I'm not, I haven't played Hyperdash in God knows how long, but still cranking away on stuff here in the league.
I'd like to say something. So this is like a celebration of Style being one of the pillars and legends, and then he goes and starts giving flowers to Goose over here. Which great job, Goose. You are doing good. Actually, the only reason why I'm even a part of the show, one, I enjoy the lore thing, but two, you do remind me of Dre. Like that's the reason why I joined Dre's show, is that he had his own personality, flair, style, and it was kind of like, man, I kind of want to support that a little bit, and so. Good on you. But back to Style. So you go to that to, talking about like features and things you're producing for the league. But I wanted to circle back to giving you your props. You're the first crown holder. You're the one that led the team that became the first like feared team. I mean, the elites were feared, but you beat them. And then you guys were the ones that held the crown for the majority of that season 0 escapade. You were also on the short list of people that we tried to recruit onto our team. You go back, very far with me, in the game as well. Mm-hmm. And so, you're like, it is proper for you to be, actually, I don't know when the first wave of this is, but you should have been in that first wave because you were in the first of everything. First, crown holder, first powerful team, pillar of the Dash League, creating all this stuff, doing. So, without you, definitely Dash League wouldn't exist. So mad props to you, Style. I appreciate everything you've done. Even when you screwed me over, you know what? I told the guys, I was like, no, I told the guys before, and they'll attest to this. I was like, guys, we're winning too much. I was like, it's gonna come down on us. Like eventually something's gonna happen. And it did. And I was like, this is it, guys. I was like, here, like take it, gotta take an L eventually,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I appreciate Makers, and yeah, we go way back, and I'm very happy to see that you're still around and still kicking. So that's great.
Yeah, I haven't died yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, MMR. I mean, like I don't think you can talk about Dash League without bringing up the other side of the coin, Drama League. And it's I would almost say that the drama each season was there because D won every time. Everyone's like, oh yeah, we know D's gonna win, but like, what kind of drama is gonna happen this season? That's the real question.
Well, that's guaranteed. If you ask Makers, it's like, that drama came from team name and Arc trying to like, mostly team name, but like trying to find other various means to take D out and their whole schemes and all this stuff, and then D like paying it back, and then like me sitting back and having to write new rules and hating both of them because of that. So like it's definitely a large part of Drama League is because D just like had a stranglehold on winning, for sure.
It was a lot of fun, and I do feel bad for all the strays you guys caught. The collateral damage. You're the Lebanon in the war with Israel and Egypt and all that. All these.
You call me Hezbollah?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I feel for you guys.
Just
like
just over here trying to eat my hummus.
Every time you guys were in the middle of that, I felt for it. I was like, oh man. I was like, and then you guys were supportive, and eventually you did the hands throwing up thing. Like, I don't care, bro. Like you guys are all a pain in my ass, and I was like, oh man, we're losing the support. But I appreciate you guys sticking in and tolerating the insanity that came out of that kind of competition. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing. Sorry. You want to say?
No. Go ahead.
The last thing I think I'm going to bring up here is Triangle Factory. Those guys, the Belgium developers, are some of the most interesting developers I think I've ever come across in my life. But they, have kind of stuck through it with us too. I mean, we make a lot of demands, and it's hard to kind of crack that hard Belgian chocolate shell. But every now and again, they do give up some good features that we ask for. But they've been good partners, and they have supported us since the beginning of the league, and that's been really cool to work with them on that side. So I mean, this whole initiative has just been very interesting between the volunteers you get to work with, the intellectual property holders at Triangle Factory, working with the different teams and people who flow into the league and having to deal with the drama. But we're in season 7 here, and we're going strong, and I'm looking forward to season 10. I think that's going to be a big milestone. So definitely I'll be around. And maybe once my son is a little bit older, I will rejoin a team and play again. We'll see.
When he's 3 years old, we'll put him on the board.
Heck yeah.
Decisions.
Dude, he'll be worse than me. Don't do that.
He'll just have a toy band hammer, and he'll just swing it at everybody.
We'll toy band hammer, man.
I'll echo what you say on the devs. They've been awesome to work with. And of course, we get a little disappointed now that we don't get as much, new updates and requests, turned into reality and all that sort of stuff. But obviously, they've got to move on and move on to new games and other stuff like that. And luckily, they still keep a small team back on Hyperdash, and it's not like nothing's happening with the game anymore. So the devs have been awesome to work with. They fund the league and all that. So yeah, definitely agree with you there. And we'll let you go now because I gotta get Moon in here before his bedtime.
No.
But love you, buddy. Thanks for all the help you've been with the league, and massively appreciated by everybody.
And Style, we're doing a poker match. Fat, you, me, Gat, all the old school.
For actual money again?
I mean, we could. I doubt Fat has the attention span for a whole real money game, but you know what I'm saying. We'll get down. We'll do it.
I'm in. Let me know. All right, thank you guys.
Woo. All right, let us know.
Peace.
All right. Let me see how quickly I can get Moon in here. I just messaged him. If y'all will be keeping an eye on the open channel to drag him in. So I'm watching Goose's stream here on my phone, and I have like a minute delay or something like that. So I don't want to like leave the stream screen and like not be able to get back. Although I guess it doesn't really matter.
Bro, you sound like a boomer right now.
I am a boomer.
That makes sense.
I can't help my internet connection and my slow.
I got him.
Yeah. All right. Hey Moon. So we got to talk to Fathead and Styledev, and wanted to get you in before your bedtime because we all know you're about 11 years old, and 8 o'clock on the dot, you got to get to bed, buddy. So anyway, how you doing, Moon?
Hello.
Hello.
Doing pretty good. I'm 17 now.
I know that. I just love giving you crap because it's fun and you're a good sport about it. But I want to set you up, or actually, Makers, why don't you set Moon up and his sort of path through the league and all that stuff? why he
I
deserves
mean,
this.
well, first to start with, hi Moon, nice to meet you on Makers. Nice to meet you. Nothing
Makers
back.
wouldn't do that to me.
I mean, you seem to be a rude kid, man. So everybody knows who Darkmoon is. I mean, Darkmoon is like one of the celebrity players of the league. I mean, forget the skill stuff. I mean, obviously, back in the day, you had a little bit of overshadowing with Reko, being your older brother, but even with Reko being so amazingly good, you came in and made your own style and completely your own like way. And so you have people that watch how you play, and like when I see people in on like videos of matches and stuff, I'm like, oh man, that guy's kind of like got the Darkmoon style. So I look at you as for sure one of those early pillars. And obviously, I'm biased since I've known you since the beginning. We've been part of the same team since the beginning. We're one of the few players that haven't, ever got. Well, I guess you're on Envy right now, but we've always been a part of the same team from the beginning. None of this like kind of leaving and hopping kind of scenario. So I've got a lot of bias towards you, but trying to put that aside. You do belong as a legend on the list. Everybody knows that. You've also been very helpful in the community. Back in the days when like you had people almost flexing their ability to coach or whatever. Like I coach this team, right? Like everyone's like putting their name on stuff and trying to like flex the biggest list of people that they're helping. It's like you were going around helping people, without saying nothing. And so, that kind of humbleness mixed with your swaggering game, the type of power you put out there. People don't know you in game like I do, but I mean, this kid's super smart. So it's one of those, I feel like you deserve it. But I'm also a very biased person and had a very different view of you as a player. So I do want to hand this to, Lat or somebody who has outside view, because, as far as one of our team members, I mean, you're already, you're the one of the top core members of D. Without you, there would be no D. So I'm happy to have you on that list.
Thank you, Maker.
I was about to say no, thank you, man. I was like, I'm gonna take all that
back. Makers takes it back. None of it was true. It's all lies.
Yeah. Goose,
no, I want
Goose cut it all out.
No, I want to say a bit about Moon also before we open it up to him. But it's funny. Like Moon's one of the best players the game's ever seen, but for a long time he was also one of the most underrated players. When people would talk about top 5 players or whatever, they wouldn't mention Moon, and it's like by like season, I don't know, season 3 or 4 or something like that, Moon was I thought like the top 1 or 2 player, like right there with Reko, and Koala still making his way up, and Koala right away people are like, oh, he's better than Reko, and for a while it's like he's not better than Reko yet, and whatever, and Moon was up there, and so Moon has always been one of these fantastic players. It took him, I guess, a little bit longer than Reko to like get to that top tier, whatever. But he was also like, how old were you when you started Moon? Were you 13 when you started, or were you 12? Or I think 13. Yeah,
I was 13,
yeah.
And then as the seasons went by, I grew older and older.
Now you're an old man. Yeah, now you're a boomer, dude. So
man, it's crazy.
Well, and I do want to say from internally, we knew Moon, like, so yeah, outside people weren't giving him his credit that he should have, but it's also hard when you have Reko right next to you, also doing amazing stuff. But we knew internally, it went from like season 0 where, Moon was like 13 years old and then wasn't even sure if he really liked the competitive scene. His first time competing in video game. And so then we go into season 1, and like the minute he kind of commits to it instead of backs out of competing, like, because there was a point there where he's like, I don't know if I like this scene. And then once he committed, like, it was a light switch. The dude just he went and basically competed with Reko, and internally we knew already. It was like, bro, this guy's, we called him Batman, like season 1, early season 1. We were calling him Batman, but for a reason. And so it took a little bit for the league to see it, but I'm pretty sure that people respected him in those early days. They had to.
I think probably when he really broke out was when he started mastering rockets, and it's like Darkmoon's the best rocketeer in the game. It's like Darkmoon hands down, and he was one of the early ones. It was like Mr. V was the first one that like really showed people like what you could do curving rockets, and then a bunch of people like were like, oh, you could really do that, and then they. And then a lot of people tried to emulate that, and Darkmoon was one of the early ones that like just nailed it and was like the best rocketeer for a long time. And of course there was debate when other people started picking him up, but I always thought Moon was like the best, because he was, not only was he like accurate with them, but he didn't have to hang back 100 feet away and land shots on you. He would be in your face, and like just you had your pistols going after him with rockets, and he would kill you. He has 20 dashes, and you cannot kill him before he can get you with the rockets. It's just insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to this day, I would say if anyone challenges Moon to like a 1v1, rockets only, and like Moon actually like practiced a little bit to get the timing down, nobody could beat him. Like I agree. He, in my mind, like I don't like. There's a lot of really good rocketeers, but you mix his speed, game sense, all that other stuff on top, and it's like if he got the timing down, I don't know anyone better.
Yeah. So, and the other thing that was cool about Moon was like, D is this team that keeps to themselves, keeps quiet, all that. And like, when it comes to like the best players in any game, whether it's like professional sports or anything like that, you want to hear from the top players. You want to hear their thoughts on the game, hear their thoughts on other players, and hear their like them break down how they play, all that sort of stuff. And like D was always so silent. And Moon, really the only two people in D that would really speak up anytime was Moon and Makers. And Makers only to like make the occasional like crotch joke. I'm tuning it down for you, Moon. There, and the occasional troll and whatever. But Moon was like the only one of the brothers and of the younger players on the team that would actually engage with the community and talk to them and all that stuff. And he's a nice dude. He's fun to talk to. He's funny also, which is more than you could say about a lot of the 13-year-olds who try to be funny. Moon's actually funny. And it's just although he can like have his ego and be conceited at times and all that sort of stuff, Moon, for the most part, for how good he is, has always been, fairly humble as well, and didn't throw it in your face that he's better than you and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, but for this Legends list, we've put up like people who are there for like administrative reasons and people who are there for like, community outreach reasons and all this sort of stuff. And then we have people who are in here for like just being just absolute like top level players. And that's what gets Moon into here, is just being just one of these amazing players. Been there for a long time, done it for a long time, champion for, is it 4 now or is it 3 crowns that you guys have? Yeah, too many. Whatever. So anyway, Moon, give us, speak a little bit on your time in the league and when you came up through the league and how you feel about the league now and important moments to you over the course of your time in the league and whatever. Just take it away, say what you want.
Well, Dash League has been a journey, that's for sure. It's been a great long journey, and it has had its ups and downs, mostly downs relating to drama. Makers mentioned earlier that there was a time I didn't really want to do it anymore, and that was when I was supposed to be, or I was like captaining D and stuff, but just so much drama and mean people and mean things happening around just because we were so good and stuff just made me want to really not keep going. But then when we did start keep going and we kept pushing at it, we kept trying to be the best, we definitely succeeded without a doubt. And without a doubt was the goal, to make sure that we were without a doubt the best. And that really happened. And it's kind of cool to think that that's the first gaming experience in which I did go in and we all went in. My team was there with me, but we came in and we just demolished to the point of success, true success in the Dash League. It wasn't like, oh wait, probably shouldn't name old. It wasn't like season 3 TMNM success or anything. It was true success throughout all the seasons where we really succeeded at the goal of being the best, and that was a great experience. And I'm glad Dash League was my first. And honestly, with those downs in the league, it was great character development for me as a young boy. I got to battle older people in mental combat and scheduling and problems and dramas and all that stuff. The Dash League, it's kind of what you're getting into if you want to play in the Dash League, at least in the past. But yeah, it was and has been a good time this whole time. And of course it was I guess what I'd like to say is that it was competitive in a good way. In the end, it was competitive in a good way. There was ups and downs through it all, but it was competitive, and the runners wanted it to be competitive, and even now it's trying to be competitive and all this sort of stuff. And that was the main draw for, I think, Team Determined and us trying to be good at this game, is that it's so skill-based. So we wanted to compete to be the best. And I'm glad that Dash League kept being competitive throughout all this time. But I mean, good. Did Reko get a Legends lat?
He did, but before we get to Reko, I about like the sort of the fighting and the toxicity and the sort of, like you said, the mental battles that you had to deal with and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's one reason why I've always been so adamant against toxicity, is because some people are going to leave the league because they don't want to deal with the toxicity. And it's like, I know I've always given D a hard time for like winning every time and there not being any mystery and whatever. That doesn't mean that I don't like you guys and respect the hell out of you guys and think you guys are a great team and have been a good storyline for the league and all that. Like all those things can be true at the same time. And I would have been so disappointed if you had left because of the team name BS and all that. So like if anyone's ever like wondering why I go so hard against the toxicity, it's because I don't want to lose players like you. And I'd say you're lucky that, as a 13-year-old having to deal with all that stuff, that you had the mentorship from, I mean, your dad for one, but also Makers, your other dad. And then, of course, Reko, I don't know Reko at all. You guys know Reko, but from what I can tell about Reko, he'll probably set his mind to something and then that thing gets done. And so, as far as like the team name Determined goes, that's the perfect name for you guys, because y'all were determined to shut those people up that were giving you a hard time, to shove your wins down their throats because they were, not playing fair and all that sort of stuff, giving you such a hard time, even though they're like adults talking to this 13-year-old captain and treating you like they were and stuff. And you guys were just, you took it on the chin and you persevered and you broke through all that stuff. And it's a great storyline. And, I'm happy that it was a storyline that came up through Dash League. And so I'm super proud of you, and I'm happy that that people recognized you for this. Of course they were going to. There's no way. And Makers, you said earlier you didn't know if this was the first round of them or not. This is the first round, the inaugural Legends and whatever. So getting a lot of the OGest of OGs, the original great players, the founders and stuff like that. And of course Darkmoon belongs in that class. So much respect to you, Darkmoon. I know that we offered Reko a chance to come speak, but Reko's been mute since birth, and hasn't been able to speak. No one's ever heard his voice. So I know you were going to say some on Reko's behalf, but if you had anything else to say about yourself first, you could go for it. Otherwise, I think let's let Makers set up Reko a little bit, then you can comment on Reko too, Moon.
All right. My last words are that Dash League was a good memory. Even though I'm technically still in it, it will be a good memory in the future. And that's pretty cool to know because lots of things in life are quite useless, vain. But as going through this experience was, it really wasn't vain, and it was great for me and my character. So the coolness of Dash League to me is that it was a good memory and skill. I learned how to be skilled, and I learned how to be mature in a mature setting. So that's my last words.
Sweet. You want to say something about Reko, Makers, and then we'll also try to get Odd in here. Odd wanted to be able to get in and out before midnight. That's 25 minutes away. So let's give.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
in Matchcast
talk about
4.
Reko for about. Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Let's grab Odd.
Yeah, let's just bring him in. We'll talk about Reko real quick, and then we'll get to Odd.
Okay. Let me know if I. Well, what's going on? How you doing?
Hello. It's me.
Hey, Odd. So
Yay.
we wanted to get to Reko real quick because Darkmoon's in here, and Darkmoon's going to speak a little bit on Reko. And then I know you said you wanted to be out by midnight, so we'll get you in real quick, and then.
Okay, I can go like a little bit longer, but not much. So.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Let's touch on Reko real quick, and then we'll move on. So Makers, if you want to set it up.
I mean, for a lot of the old guard, I mean, Reko is a household name. I mean, was the undisputed, like, head and shoulders best player in the game by a large mark. Even our haters, the enemy, like, everyone had to acknowledge that he was the best. That's how good he was.
I was the hater. He was the best.
Not just you, Odd. Even the worst of the worst haters had to acknowledge it because otherwise you just looked dumb, you know. And so that's how good he was. Now people kind of started dropping him off the top tier list because Koala comes on the scene, but the difference is that Reko became the IGL. Not only did he become the IGL, but years ago, I told Reko, I was like, so I started the team and I founded the team with Eski, but I told him years ago, I was like, this team is yours. I was like, this team runs through you. He was the IGL. He was the motivator, the biggest grinder, the shot caller, the main strat guy. You know, a lot of people give credit to 1v, you know, and 1v does deserve a lot of credit, but really that credit goes to Reko. People don't realize that. Like 1v kind of stepped back a while ago, and Reko has been the man. And so a lot of people don't know this. He's been a legend, you know, in the background. And so the dude for sure deserves to be on that list. And actually, I cringe when I see people talk about the best players and don't put them on the list. It's like, you guys just don't even know. Like, you have no clue. Like, but either way, he deserves it more than anybody from a strictly performance, skill, leadership perspective. And I'm glad to be on, you know, the cast as I get to, you know, say it. And we have Moon here too, so, you know, it couldn't have been a better opportunity. Moon, got anything to add?
I'll add that Reko was also, you know, pretty good older brother throughout all of Dash League and beforehand, of course. During the hardest times of the Dash League, he was my motivator. He was the reason why we kept going and why RDF was even playing the game. And other than, you know, having a fun time with the family, Reko really wanted to be competitive. And so his competitive drive is kind of like what Lat said earlier, a reason why Determined is called Determined and was determined. And he was a fire. That's exactly what it was. He was a fire. Lighting any fuel, it was him. Everywhere, including season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait,
Yeah.
we weren't in 5-6. There we go.
Yeah, obviously he embodied the team name determined. Like he embodied that like fully. And it's pretty admirable what he was able to accomplish. And if you look back, Moon, remember the 3-loss streak that we had? And you know, we all had that conversation where Reko's like, I never want to experience this again. Like, cause that was some of you guys' first experience of loss like that, you know, like, and that was a triple loss, and we were heading into playoff. Like that was a big deal, you know? And he was like, I don't ever want to experience that again. And he went and never experienced that again. Like it was crazy to see that. Like, no one forced him. There was no 1v like, hey, go and start grind. No, he went and became the best and never let it go until he, you know, decided to, you know, become the general and, you know, had Koala be, you know, crazy skilled killer and EP and these guys while he's directing the battle. Like, so, and he was able to put aside the ego. It's sometimes hard when you're the top guy to put aside the ego for your other guys on your team to become a better team. And he did that. And a lot of other people don't recognize that who aren't inside our team. So, you know, the dude is a legend, you know, amongst the legends. So,
I never knew that it was that it was I'm the reason that Reko got inspired to be so determined, because I was one of those teams that beat D, and of course it's all about me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to take full credit now that Reko became what Reko was. It was all thanks to me. You're welcome, Reko.
Other was the last draw. We couldn't lost to a team called Other. It's so bad.
Honestly, if I would have lost to Other,
was, you know,
I would have gone along the same path if I did that.
I want to echo what Maker said, though, is like, you know, a bunch of people not giving. It's weird. So Reko is early on, you know, just unanimously within the community understood to be the best player. And that's so rare in any sport or any esport or anything like that, for there to just be, no, this one guy is the best. And like the closest thing you can get to that anywhere else, I don't know about all the other esports and whatever. I don't follow those closely or whatever. But it would be like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods are just like, these are just the best. And like even Michael Jordan, you can argue like, well, what about Bill Russell and what about LeBron James and all that? But it's like early dashing, it was, no, it is just Reko. There's no dissent on that. He is the best player. And then what you said about him being willing to take the back seat. I mean, when Koala comes on the scene, yeah, he could put up kills in, you know, in high numbers and great KD and good positioning and all that sort of stuff. But it's like people, I think, were just too quick to just call Koala the best player. I'm like, you guys are forgetting about Reko already, and I can't believe it, because he's like been the only MVD up to this point. Like, and it's not even been close. No one's come even close to him, even the second place people. Like, it's always been Reko. And it's like when Koala gets on the team, Reko sacrifices whatever his typical role would have been to like be the cart rider for a lot of it, and like let Darkmoon push up and be that disruptor, and let Koala be that sightliner and all that. And when Evil Pancake comes, let him go up and be the disruptor. And Reko just sits back, just becomes, like you said, that IGL, the in-game leader, and you know, becomes a cart rider for part of his time and whatever. And it's like he's just willing to like sacrifice that position of like recognized top player just to continue to win, which is what truly makes you a great player, is that you do whatever it takes to win. And so mad respect. I've always had a lot of respect for Reko for that. And just, you know, well deserved to be in this list. And like I said before about Moon, like some of these players are in here for just their in-game ability. And like Reko is the player of all players as far as in-game ability goes, deserving to be like recognized as a legend. But like the legend is Reko.
Agreed.
What do you have to say about that, Odd? I know you got some stuff to say. About
Reko? I mean, gosh.
Or Moon for that matter. You missed the Moon conversation, but yeah.
Oh yeah, Moon. Were you you're one of the legends.
I could say the same in the same but more annoyed way. Odd, you're one of the legends.
Moon, we did not release the list to anybody.
No, I
Only
literally
me and
didn't know.
Goose knew it coming in. Yeah.
Freaking Lat DM'd me at like 8:40, and he's like, "Hey, are you coming to the thing?" And I'm like, "What? Do I have to?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're nominated." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, when we scheduled it for Tuesday, like a week ago. Yeah, just giving you that reminder, like, hey, you said you'd be available tonight.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, Reko was always kind of an enigma, for us at ARC, and at CLNM, I think they just kind of hated him. But I don't know. It took us a really long time to figure out what it was that made him and you guys so great, and we all felt kind of stupid at the end because the answer was determination. It was that you guys were just incredibly passionate, and you spent a ton of time doing things that, like, we wouldn't even really bother to do. That we would just like, whatever. There's no point in focusing on that. I don't know. I do have a tremendous amount of respect for Reko and everyone at D. But if you guys wanted to keep all of your things very close to the chest, I suppose you have succeeded, because I really don't know. I don't know that much. All I can say is what I've seen from the outside.
4 years later,
I didn't hear what Darkmoon said. I think you might have cut out there, man.
Say it again, Moon.
4 years later, he still doesn't know makers.
I know. We succeeded. We succeeded.
Wasn't it D, the team that would? I remember some team. It might have been ARC actually, but one of the teams that said like, no, we spent hours trying to learn these bounce shot.
Oh no, that was us. That was us.
Oh, was that
that was us? Yeah.
Yeah. I was, you just saying like taking the time to spend time on things that no one else would spend their time on. I'm like, yeah, bounce shot trajectories. Nobody does that.
Yeah, we never did that. We shared the knowledge of certain bounce shots, but never did we sit there and drill it.
Yeah. We focused on a lot of things that I think now looking back, we probably shouldn't have spent as much time on, but honestly, I think across the board, we didn't do as much. We didn't push as hard, and I have to commend D for that, of course.
So I gotta ask, since you guys are here, and who knows if D will be back in the league at some point or not, but is there like one thing you guys want to share, like something you guys did drill on that you think nobody else like thought to spend any time on, or is there any like specific tactic or something that you guys had that like you think nobody else ever caught on to that you're willing to like give up now or mention?
Yes.
Moon, that's on you, Moon.
I got it.
Okay.
Guess what it is? It's
gonna be something
the
stupid
game together.
Well, oh my God.
Yeah,
that's not something everyone knows that, Moon. Everyone knows that. That's
No, Lat. No. Okay.
He determined would actually man stack, 3-man stack. We'd just be coordinating together in lobbies, and everybody hated us for it. But what else do you think is the best thing to do with our time playing this game? We don't got a scrim partner right now. We're playing normal games in pubs. Cool. I got a teammate. Let me practice with a teammate. I've told so many teams to do this, but I never really see it happen. And I'm never seeing coordination happen in pubs either. But
I mean,
like,
we say it, and they know it too, Moon. They know it. It's just that's the hard work is to do that.
Yeah.
And that's it's not easy.
In part,
he's right.
it's definitely due to like how close you guys are. Like, it's really hard to, even for some teams, it's hard to pull together and organize a scrim. So, I mean, getting people to play in pubs like that, it's very challenging unless you've literally built what is essentially a family.
But the secret is hive mind. Like, we would joke about that early days, like we need to become hive mind, type of thing, because like literally RDF, like they're brothers, so they had years of hive mind ahead of the integration of the rest of the team, But once we kind of attain that, that's where like the magic happened, and that takes time. You got to play with each other, whether that's pubs, whether that's scrims, whatever you can do to know your teammate to the point where maybe you don't even need call outs because you already know what they're going to do, and they know what you're going to. So I would say that was a big advantage of our team, or the secret sauce of our team, was that.
Yeah.
And one more thing. The other secret sauce is also we set a team culture early on, and that and really that's something that like is I see missing a lot of the times, where people take for granted, or maybe they try to establish that too late, like after a culture's already established. But that was probably another part of our secret sauce, is like from the beginning we had a mixture of people with varying ages and experiences who succeeded in different kinds of different things, and we all compiled our stuff into this group. But the culture that we established at the very beginning and kept is part of like who we are. So that's part of the secret sauce too. Figure out what you want to do as the end goal. Create a winning culture around that, whatever that may be, and bring people that subscribe to that.
That's what I've told a few times.
So I know Odd has to get out of here pretty soon. He said he can be a little bit more flexible. So I want to get to Odd, but before you go, Moon, Makers is on this list also. And if you have anything to say about Makers and his impact on you or on the league or whatever, anything to say about Makers making this list too.
Well, I'll 100% make a correction from an earlier last statement, Mr. Circleback.
I never said anything wrong.
You did say something wrong. It was terrible.
Lies.
You said he's my second dad. Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I remember when 1B and Makers adopted you, dude. Don't lie to me.
Makers, you can be like a cool uncle, all right?
Yeah, I've always been the uncle.
Whatever. I've heard you call him Daddy Mac. We've all heard it.
No, that's never been said once. And
everybody knows that doesn't come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mood, what do you have to say about Makers, man?
Well, I didn't know Makers was a legend until now. That's pretty cool.
You should have known it in your heart,
Mood. Exactly.
You should have known it in your heart.
Of course, known it in my heart. Honestly, yeah, it's deserved. For all Makers did for Determined, like in my bias, I would say it would just be deserved then and there. But him actually like doing stuff in the actual game was pretty. It was exactly what I would imagine Maker's personality as a playstyle would be, which is funny to say and think about, because he was not just trying to become a Reko or a skilled player. He was trying to get better in his own old man ways, which was pretty cool. He moves around more than any other old man you've ever seen. So, I mean,
old man.
Well, that's
it's true.
I'm trying to think of an excuse. Like that's no excuse for all the other old men around. But Makers is probably the best one by now, anyway.
Well,
for Makers outside of the game, it's absolutely crazy. He was the primary captain of TBD and D forever. Now he still is. VRML and stuff. We're in other leagues now, and he's still working really hard at that. But during all of that time, if RDF was a building block, Makers was like glue to make the determined structure. He really was there to be the rest of the pieces of the team needed to actually have a determined team, I would say. So, I mean, it's hard to not give examples, but we don't have a lot of time, huh, Odd?
What Yeah, that's honest. I'm at a point where I'm just gonna stay up however long this takes. I was gonna write an essay after this, but like I've kind of given up on that.
I got him, Lat.
Thanks. Give us an example, Moon. Give us an example. What you're
An
talking about.
example has got to be. This is kind of a joke example, but come on, like it's got to be mentioned. His ability to win coin flips.
Come on now. I always knew there was something to that.
Yes. The truth is revealed. You see, he pressed the button and won.
The truth is that makers wrote that bot and we didn't tell anybody. But it was coded by makers, the coin flip bot. So that's why he won all the time.
Coin flip anecdote, I remember one of the, because I always try to be as democratic as possible for any kind of major decision when it comes to competitive situation, that kind of thing, like maps of this, everybody, what do we vote, whatever, not just like pull triggers on my own. But there was one scenario where it had to go to basically a coin flip, or we had to strong arm some kind of negotiation. But I was so confident in my coin flip that I just like did the coin flip when the team, everybody, this is even when 1v was involved, was like, okay, so we got to do this and do that. Okay, don't. And I was like, I already flipped the coin, guys. And then you could tell like there was the like, you know, the panic of like, what did you do? You know, but I was like, but we won, guys. And then, you know, that was probably early on in my coin flip streak. And then after a while, they just learned to, you know, blindly trust that I'm just going to win the coin flip.
It's true. It was blindly trusted, I'll be honest. The reason
Never
why
failed.
Maker's coin flip streak is so mentionable is because it's better than Determined's win streak. It has a 100% success rate, I swear. Which is, I don't know, have you ever flipped a coin 100% of the time in your favor and exactly what you wanted? I don't think so. So it's pretty crazy how Makers was able to do that. But it kind of made all the, I'm trying to make it not a joke. It made it really easy to be able to rely on him, not just in his coin flipping abilities, but that he was able to be the captain that we needed, even when it was difficult for us to think of what to do. He knew exactly how he was supposed to do this. And Wise Old Man Makers is very, very good at the other scheduling half of talking to people and making sure that the right information is said. And it's pretty cool to know that that's at least one of the reasons you're a legend right now.
Thank you, Mood. Thank you. My old teachers would think you're a liar, you know, but I appreciate it.
The Maker's stories of his high school days.
I wonder how many people even are aware of what the coin flip is, because the last sort of thing that got coin flipped on, we used to have to coin flip all the time for match negotiations, because people wanted different maps and people wanted different servers and stuff like that, and so there are always coin flips. But the last thing that really needed to be coin flipped, once we did like standard maps and whatever, was like control points. Who gets control point to their server? And then the Aussies came out and they were like, you know, it's basically whoever wins the coin flip wins that map. So we're tired of kind of losing matches because we lose a coin flip. I'm like, you know, that makes perfect sense. Let's do this double control point thing. And then the coin flip kind of died after that. So maybe the coin flip needs to be a legend too, because there were lots of interesting coin flip situations and coin flip lore too.
Dude, once you added the coin flip into the mix, it made my life so much easier, because people were being such dicks with negotiating. I'd be like, we want this. They're like, I want that. I'm like, all right, we flip. Like, you know, I'd not even try. There's nothing, like, that's it. We flip, you know.
Foolproof.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that while it lasted.
All right. So we'll move on to get to Odd. Thanks, Moon, for stopping in and contributing to this. Appreciate it. Well deserved.
Woo!
I'll have to watch it back. I don't even know that Makers was going to be in here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't like this show was where we're announcing it, so none of the people coming in knew the list ahead of time, except for like me and Goose. So Odd did not know that you were in there, so he was not like feigning surprise or anything like that. He wasn't being a jerk, even though, I mean, he is a jerk.
Hey.
Just generally a jerk. But, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know
Anyway.
either until like just minutes before.
Yeah.
Huh. Can I
Alright.
know the whole list, or do I have to wait till later?
Yeah, why
Oh,
don't
yeah,
you
we can go
read
over
back
again.
that
We
list
already-
because we haven't heard
yeah.
it in a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, so just in alphabetical order: Darkmoon, Dreday, Fathead, Gelearthur, Heis, Lateralis, Makers, Odd,
Lat?
Reko, Styledev.
You're
Yep.
on that list, Lat?
Say what?
You're on that list? I cannot believe this.
I know. You know, the person who started the whole thing, amazing. That I'm on that list. It's funny, like I get to see, like I have to tabulate all the entries and stuff, so I get to see who voted for who and whatever. And man, it's unbelievable the haters that you see. It's like, you know, not even if I was like the worst player of all time and whatever, just being the person that started the whole thing, you'd think that like it would be just a, oh well, yeah, Lat should be there. I've got to vote for Lat. Nope, not the people that don't like me. And there's a lot of them. I actually got I tied for the lowest number of votes for this whole thing.
Oh my god!
And I was so surprised at that. I'm like, how? I mean, god damn, people hate me. It's like, man,
You do suck pretty bad.
Oh yeah, I know.
Hey, someone's got to be that guy, Lat. Somebody,
Yeah,
you know.
it's me.
So, yep. So thank you, and you still made the list. You still made it, even with the
I know.
haters.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, screw you, haters. All right, Moon, get out of here. Go to bed. We'll talk to you later, man.
Love you, man.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go to bed.
Good night, Moon.
Good night, Moon.
Congratulations, Odd.
Thank you.
For making Arc. Good job. Good job. Wait,
Thank you.
4D. I meant 4D. That was probably more important. I'm not sure.
No,
That's
Arc.
right.
All right. See you guys.
All right, see you, Moon.
Bye bye.
All right, so we'll get to Odd, and and then I guess if Odd's gonna stay up, maybe he can join us for the rest of these. But we're gonna knock Odd out so that he can take off if he needs to. It's also past Odd's bedtime.
Yeah.
So you know, the thing is, like Odd and Makers, when the list was only going to be 15 people, and you had to put in all the, like I put in a bunch of like original board members and like the Rekos and the Darkmoons and stuff like that, and it came down to like that 15th spot, and I was like Odd or Makers, Odd or Makers.
I was a 15th slot.
Well, I feel like there are people that like just have to be on that list, but might not have had as much impact as you guys did. But it's just like this is the OGs thing. Like this person has to be on the list and whatever. So like you guys, I mean, y'all didn't start the league or anything like that. Y'all weren't like the MVD players or anything like that. Y'all were captains of successful teams and whatever. But the real thing that you guys are like, you know, two peas in a pod in terms of like what qualifies you for this thing, which is y'all were captains of top level teams that were very opinionated and very vocal on the early days of like the formation of the league. And like trying to prepare for lore episodes, I went back to like the captain's chat and just went to the original post and just started reading. And you guys were there early on, putting in your 2 cents for all kinds of different things. And I haven't gotten to the part yet where you guys are contentious and where there's really, really bad fighting and all that stuff going on. Like the early captain's chat was awesome. It was like everyone coming together. No, I think this is the best way to do this, and this, and when we get up to the next lore episode, we'll go over some of the things.
I think the turning point was the season 1 finals. I got pretty mad about that.
Well, you got mad about that, but y'all got like, you know, the reason that happened in the finals, and we could either get to it while we're talking here in a lore episode or whatever.
Let's do a lore episode.
The reason they did what they did was because y'all had like drama and fighting well before that, and Makers was like, screw these guys, I'm gonna mess with them here in the finals. So like it happened before that. But anyway, I think you guys, like I said,
we'll go over that in
the
detail
pod
later. You have to tune in for that.
Yeah. So you guys had to like y'all just, again, captains of really good teams, early captains that had like a lot of impact on how the league was shaped and formed, and like early rules and stuff like that. So y'all just played a big part in molding the league itself, as probably more than any other captains did in the early days, as far as like molding what the league became like for people outside of the board and that sort of stuff. So you were definitely one of those, being like, what were you when we started? 14?
I was
And
15.
just being 15 and just
Yeah.
being totally vocal and supremely confident that you were right about everything as a 15-year-old with like 63-year-old makers and all that sort of stuff. It was, you know,
yeah,
if
I've
I
looked
didn't
back
have
at
to,
those chats.
yeah, if I
It's
didn't
rough.
have to, like, you know, keep the league healthy and make it a fun place for everyone and all that sort of stuff, I would be sitting back and like, this is hilarious. Like, look at these guys fighting, what idiots, you know, all that sort of stuff. But like, I had to like take a different stand on that. But like, getting to look back at it now and stuff, it's some of the stuff is just hilarious, and it's fond memories and that sort of stuff. But yeah, you guys both had a big impact. But Odd especially is just like super confident. You were the original like community clan leader, and you know, you contributed 3 different teams to the league early on and all that sort of stuff. So you had definitely a big impact on the early days in the league. So yeah, tell us a little, or Makers, if you have anything to say, or Goose or whatever. But
Yeah.
then, like, you know, just sort of tell us your, you know, your I don't know, your thoughts on being part of this league and some key moments for you and stuff like that. But what were you gonna say, Makers?
No, I was gonna chime in and say that, like, I mean, he was like, we were like the yin and the yang. You know, we needed a counterpart to compete against that was as, you know, fueled as we were, and to drive things forward. You know, like that was part of like what made things interesting, that turned the temperature up. Like, otherwise, if everyone's kumbaya and chill, then, you know, there's no reason for that extra effort and that extra like work that goes into it. And so Odd was that guy for us. Without Odd, there would be no D. Like, there would be no reason to go as hard as we did, or we would be in a different form as we were, you know? And so, you know, when I look at arc in those early days, I look at our first, you know, in our chapters as a team, that was our first challenge. Like, that was our first chapter, was Odd with 4D and arc, you know, and the, you know, making sure that we can get through season 1 finals. And to this day, those were our closest matches, you know, was against Arc. That was when the gap was the closest, when the competition was the fiercest, like when we were putting the most into it to try to just, you know, keep that whatever victory in our minds, because you guys were also full throttle. So when I think of our team, I for sure think of yours as well. And so, you know, I'm thankful for you to give us good competition. I'm sure you've touched more players in this game than most people, you know, from 4D and that clan building to, you know, your coaching and putting yourself out there and being like super odd, you know, whatever you do out there in Discord and all up in people's stuff. So, you know, you did a lot. You put a lot of energy into, you know, this game in the league. So, well deserved, Odd. And, you know, I'm glad I got in here on the same list as you. So, congrats.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That means a lot. What did you want me to talk about, Lat?
Whatever the hell you want, dude. Tell us how to make
Wheat.
a souffle.
Okay, so the big trick with the souffle is you can't, when you're folding together the egg whites and the other stuff, you can't overfold it, right? You just have to like keep it nice, and you just fold it until it's just barely combined, right? And when you put it in the oven, do not open the oven or it will fall, right? That is the
And I'm
biggest,
always
easiest mistake.
overfolding my egg whites. Damn it!
Don't,
Right,
yeah.
now I know.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah.
I feel like
silly
Odd
goose.
needs to have a cooking show now.
Yeah,
I'm horrible.
We'll have to.
No,
We'll have to have an Odd cooking segment.
The
That would actually be hilarious.
Dash League cooking segment with Odd.
Dude, I would absolutely be down for that, because I don't even want this Dashcast thing to be 100% Hyperdash and Dash League. I'd actually like to discuss some real world things, and get to know people a little bit outside of the game. It would be hilarious to have Odd walk us through how to make a souffle as a segment. It would be great. I would do that in a heartbeat. Yes, absolutely.
So, for those of you listening who are like, "What the fuck just happened? Why are they talking about souffles?" So, when I started off as, how do I even explain this? I started off as a very confident, very like, I'm gonna do everything my way, and I'm gonna say exactly what I think 100% of the time. And I have to say that I am very thankful for the very patient adults in Dash League who, without which I would be a very different person today. When I started the league, I basically, the first thing I did was I joined this little clan called KTC, and I immediately decided, I was like, wow, this is a crap hole. I'm just gonna make my own. So I did. And then in this clan, there was this, I talked about food like all the time, and souffles were one of those. And yes, I posted pictures of my souffles, some of which are great, some of which are not very good at all. And yes, I guess I should link this to the rest of this stuff, and I guess why I'm getting this award. I made 4D, which was intended to basically be a clan where the benefit is that we taught people. So we would have these big sessions of people, and we would, I don't know, imagine 100 people in like a lawn doing Tai Chi. It was like that, but for Hyperdash. It was very weird. And so I kind of continued that. I eventually shut it down to make my team Arc, which was very focused on just, we're playing, we're going to win. And then later I did a lot in terms of teaching, of making content, basically putting out as much material as I could to try and help people understand the game. Because I was like, hey, I have all these cool ideas and I have all this experience in this game. I should just help people out, just a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years.
Well, good. I guess back in the days when we didn't really have that many leaders, if you will. In my mind, you were one of the first. You were especially the first of the youth. It was like there was the two camps, like the old people and the youth, and you were the leader of the youth, and so. That's always a challenge. Hats off to you for making that happen and cultivating talent. Putting together a successful team. Going real far every single time you guys touch the field. You guys were one of the best always, and so that's it's a big accomplishment. And at your age, while you're growing up and figuring all this stuff out, and battling adults and crazy people and the whole lot. When as a captain and as a captain of anything competitive, the crazy stuff that happens and what you have to deal with, and to deal with that at your age. Good job, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Especially go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Odd. No, go ahead, dude.
I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Okay, well, I was gonna say it's a good point about sticking to it and being this long-term captain at your age and whatever, because we have a lot of new team captains who might be 13 or 14 or 15 or something like that, and a lot of those teams forfeit their way out of the league or break up and all that sort of stuff. And you've been one of these just long time, super stable captain leadership figures in the league for Arc. And then I know you weren't a captain for Acer, and you're not a captain right now, but you're still active in the community, and makers for that matter too. You two guys being still active in the community and stuff, even though your teams aren't playing right now. I can't think of any other any other people who are like longtime captains of teams that are still around right now. I'm sure there might be a handful of them or something, but I can't pull any names out right now of like people who've just been captains since the beginning who are still around as part of this league. Maybe moderation, I guess, still around, and but that's like just a testament to the quality of person you are, the quality of your leadership, and all that sort of stuff. So it's just, I give you crap all the time. Lots of people do because it's fun because of the way you react and whatever. But you've been like a huge part of this league and the community, and making connections between warring sides of whatever drama is going on at the time, and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, despite like how much crap I'll give you or whatever, especially early on, dude, I remember having some like angry conversations with you, like what the fuck are you doing, idiot? Just being mad with like some of the takes you were doing and just arguing with you, and like it's so easy as a person online to forget sometimes that you're talking to someone who's a teenager. And so I'm sure I went over the line a few times, like, just arguing with you those early days when you would be fighting with makers and you guys causing drama and whatever. It's like, so, but the thing is like, you had the like, the quality of character to be able to, like you said, you'd be a different person if the adults here didn't sort of guide you in certain ways and whatever. And when we would have our fights and when you and makers would have your fights, you didn't just like turn into this super toxic person who just hated us and like never, forgave us for like arguing with you or whatever. And you would instead, you'd think about those things. And when you felt that you were wrong about something and you could have done something better, then you would actually internalize that and you would try to do that instead of just getting angry and mad and being toxic and whatever. So it's a testament to the quality of your character that you were able to develop the way you did, despite early drama and all that sort of stuff. And I think that, before anything else, that's the thing that I think is your best quality, as like, a personality in this league. So very well deserved being in this list of like, the early legends, because you definitely are one.
Thank you. That really does mean a lot. It's a even now working with Ace here, it's a lot to I guess kind of makers. You talked about culture at D, and I think that's one of the more important things that people have to realize, specifically in VR esports, is that there is so much like culture that you kind of don't see. And I think that my first understanding of that was actually with CLNM, and with now it's with some of the Acer folks. It's what I wanted to do was instead of like being polarized or polarizing people, I kind of wanted to find this space between communities and try and understand both of them. I think I did my best of that with trying to be on both sides with the board and CLNM, but I think that was my personal biggest accomplishment. Making a good team was, I think I did a fine job recruiting, a fine job training different people, but I'm really most proud of my ability to look at a group of people who really have kind of been nothing but seemingly mean, and just go in and kind of ask about their stories and just be like, what is this? Who are you people? And I think that skill is something that I've retained even to today, that it helps me interact with people that otherwise I would really just brush off. And sometimes you get in and you talk with them and it's like, oh, you are an asshole. Never mind. Goodbye. But sometimes there's a lot to uncover. There's a lot to learn about just going up and talking to someone who you like I don't know, you look at them or you hear them or you talk to them, and it's like, I disagree with you, but I'm not really sure what's going on. That's exploring that and looking deeper into that is, I think, the best thing that I've learned from Dash League.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's something that you're better at than even I am. It's like, you know, I am so ready to write people off just because I've got so many other things to take care of or so many other things on my mind or whatever. It's like, if you're just causing a problem out in public, it's, you know, mute them, you know, be done with it. I'm tired of this. And like, you know, if they come to me in my DMs or something like that, I can be pretty short with them and not like, you know, especially if they're, I think some people come and they try to manipulate their way into like good favor and manipulate their way through them getting in trouble and being like, well, I really, you know, I didn't actually do anything wrong and whatever. So it's like, I think I have a little bit of a shorter fuse and less patience with stuff like that. And you definitely took it on, you know, head on a lot more. And, you know, when trying to like bridge that gap with clan name and all that. So a lot more patience you've had than I have had with those people. And I bet, you know, to be perfectly honest, I bet you've had a really good influence on a lot of the people who were like team name and clan name who are now Acer and whatever. And so, you know, that's been a help to the league and to the community and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, something that you're definitely better at than I am, that's for sure.
Thanks. Yeah. I guess I'm also pretty proud of my my body of work in terms of like learning material that I've put out for the game. Some of it's pretty good, some of it's really bad. But I think it's okay because I don't see anybody else doing it. I don't know why. I love to be able to share knowledge, and I don't know. I think it's weird that even now people are kind of hoarding their rats secrets. I have no idea. I'm pretty happy with what I've built. I'm happy with how much I've given. And I don't know. I guess in the comments, if you guys are like, we want this, we want that, you could tell me, and I might do it. I might not. I'm not proud of how good I am at committing to things.
$20 they'll commit. But you can plug your training. He will actually.
Oh.
You know.
I don't like to. I don't like to plug it too much because I already have like a couple jobs and school and stuff, so I've kind of kept it a little bit quiet intentionally. But I do, you know, I do have some happy people that have gone through it. If you have the money, and you're not a student, or you're not someone that you need to have disposable income, right? Then you can do my training. Otherwise, spend money on it.
Yep. But that you're definitely right. That is something that we hadn't talked about yet, that you are willing to train. You have been an advocate for a long time about sharing strats, and so everyone can sort of, you know, the hiding of strategy and coming up with, you know, techniques and tactics that other people don't know and getting an advantage that way. You're more like just, you know, lay it all bare, and then whoever can adapt the best and train the best and work up the best skill, they win out more so than like just hiding strategy, and that's what gives you the advantage. So you've always been an advocate for coaching people, training people, sharing strats.
I feel like you guys are taking shots at me for some reason about this whole hide and strat thing.
No.
I know.
It's not.
I know. I was just joking, but
yeah, in the long ago.
You're right.
I mean,
it hasn't. You would think there'd be more videos, like more training video, more like just stuff out there that like you did. Like, why was it just only you, really? You know, maybe just a few other small things other people did. But no, you're right.
And it's not even necessarily just that, like who's producing the videos and stuff like that. Like, I know you've gone and helped out teams. I know Darkmoon has. I know Vertigo has. Vertigo came and talked to us on other a couple times, and so D's always done that also. It's just like it's I mean, there's still some. I think all teams probably still have some level of no. We got this little secret thing. That's why, like earlier when Moon was on, I was like, give us one thing, give us something that you don't think anyone else focuses on. And he's like playing together in pubs. I'm like, come on, we know that. So
no,
I think
but
even
like
now,
juicy. We need juicy details.
To yourself. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But the best details are not always juicy. That's something that I learned.
I mean, and that's the thing is like I was actually gonna elaborate on when you guys were talking about hiding the strats about how we just gave you guys ours. Like literally, like that's the foundation to what our team was. It was our culture and what like we set like goals together of what we wanted to do, and that was it. We were like people on a mission. That was the secret sauce, some strategy or like some special like controller bind or like some different call out system or like different none of that stuff matters. It was literally we had a group culture of guys that were super determined to beat the competition, and like that was the secret sauce. And so doesn't matter all this other stuff. That whole thing was evolving, and the only way you evolve and keep ahead is if you have enthusiasm, motivation, you care, you have all your guys on the same page, you have that culture of your team. All that other stuff comes with it, and there's no other trick. Any strat I give you now is like something that like the whole like play together in pubs is it sounds stupid, but like what? No other team I see has the coordination that we accomplish because no team is playing in the pubs. Why is nobody doing that? Do they not want to be coordinated? It sounds simple, but people ain't doing it. So the secret sauce is right there. It's like literally right there. That's it. There is nothing else.
Oh, actually, I have some secret sauce.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is something that I learned because I did it for a year, and then I looked back and I was like, what a waste of time. Don't spend so much time working on strats. Like, spend some time, but gosh, don't overcomplicate things, right? Hyperdash is very chaotic. If you spend a bunch of times like meticulously planning out every single thing, it's just not going to work. Things are going to go wrong. The best thing that you can do is have a bunch of people that know each other. They know the fundamentals of the game really well, and you could just throw them into any game, and they would just organize themselves. That's what you need. It's the best advice I can give.
Yeah, I think at this point, a lot of teams are running the same sort of basic meta strategy. Like, any team I've gone to, it's like you've had sort of the same roles laid out and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's like to really get up there to that next level or whatever, it's about like first off, like developing your individual skill when you are playing, be constantly working on improving your own individual skill. Like one of the things I talked to Sky, because when I dropped off UNSC, I kind of, not to get into a story about me or anything off to a tangent, but so, just long story short, one of the things I talked to Sky about is like, you want to be good with like distancing, for example. You need to be able to kill anybody from any distance, from anywhere, and that's going to make you a stronger killer. That's going to allow you to be like, to adapt to any role, whatever. And so it's things like that. Like you gotta, if you're playing in pubs and you're not good at like your long distance aim, then put yourself in positions where you're pistol sniping all the time, and then you're going to develop that. So, yeah, Makers, I totally agree. It's like, yes, that is the secret sauce, playing and becoming super familiar with your team. And like one of the things D always did that I always thought was an advantage over other teams was they kept their roster small. They kept their roster to their core five and then a couple subs when they needed a sub. And that was it. And my last season on Loop, where I finally had a team that was like just eight deep, and we had three people that were totally willing to sit that let our core five play, and then our core five got so familiar with each other, got our roles down to a T, and then we got to third place in the league, of course, like behind D and Acer, who's like nobody's gonna surpass. So we basically got to the top spot on a non dynasty team, and I was super proud of that. And I think a big part of it was getting familiar with your teammates and having that small roster sort of deal. But yeah, like playing in pubs, I guess the reason that I was like, well, that's not really what I'm talking about is because I feel like everyone knows playing together in pubs will help you become familiar and stuff. And what I was specifically digging for was like some little tactic that you guys had trained on or whatever that you don't think anyone else did. Like Ark doing the training for the bounce shot trajectories and stuff like that. Not that it's going to like blow the world open or anything, but more like, you know.
So to talk about that though, for real, like, no, to talk about that, and I think Odd touched on it. The game is super fast. It's crazy complicated. The timing's insane. Like if you compare this to like IRL sports, the speed of this is insanity. And so it's not really about. That's why it has to be your guys are on the same page. The time frame of making a call out, someone's brain receiving it, and then react. Like this game is just too fast. So I don't want to. It really is the secret sauce. Is that getting guys on that same page? And what all this other, there is no like fine, you can have something where against one team some guy goes over here or whatever, but like how do you even accomplish that if you have not even that like basic foundation coordination? So all this amazing plays people may draw up, or these things that they have mentally that they talk about in their discourse and they draw on maps and stuff. It's like, try to dry run that, like execute that. See how hard that really is. Have a spectator up there and look at the timing of all 5 of you guys trying to execute the thing you talked about, and look how badly you fail at it for how many times, and then try to turn that back to something simple, and then look how you fail at that, because that's how hard this is. And so that's why
keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, you have to. There is no. You could have a big brain on a map, but the game's way too fast for that stuff. And it's too. The more on the same page you are, the less call outs, the less communicate. This game's too fast for communication. And so it really is the secret sauce. And smaller roster, that was part of it. It was obvious to the league. We've had the smallest roster of all the years of all the league, and we were the most coordinated. That's no coincidence. Because we recognized these were the benefits, and I mean that's why it was all out there for everyone to see. It's just everyone expected like some kind of playbook of magic. There is none of that. The magic is literally hive mind, and so if you can accomplish that, you're going to be the best. As long as you don't have a bunch of donkeys that can't come up with like, some basic stuff, But you have the hive mind plus non-donkeys, and boom, you got yourself a championship.
Yep.
Man, you just ruined the donkey market for me. I was going to recruit a bunch of donkeys that were going to start playing, and you just ruined it. Thanks a lot, dude. Now I got to look elsewhere for,
Dude, donkeys across the world are doing all kinds of work. Shout outs to you guys.
All right, so we got off on a tangent there, but a good one and an important one and all that. But let's enough talking about Odd. We're all tired of doing that. Let's talk about makers. So just to set up, I mean, I kind of set up Odd makers together, and because they're kind of, like I said, two peas in a pod, and they sort of had the same early trajectory and effort put into the league and mindsets and stuff, even though I think if if D was like the best team and then Odd's team was like a lower level team or a mid-level team or whatever that was just known and whatever, you guys probably wouldn't have butted heads so much. But it was because you were the two top competing teams, the two best teams, and you saw each other as the rivals, that you guys butted heads so much over things. And again, like, of course, sprinkle in a little bit of that, of like Odd being the 15-year-old who thinks he knows everything, and Makers being the old man with like terminal alopecia and low testosterone over there,
too much
barking at the young,
actually.
low testosterone Makers.
Too much. I had to do sack shrinkage operations. Multiple.
Because they're so saggy, because you're so old. Yeah.
So
we get
much.
it.
So much, too much.
But anyway, so like I said before, like Makers was one of the early captains that gave me a lot of feedback. Before there was a board, I depended on the captains to help me shape the league. And Makers was definitely there giving his input, and not in a way that was like biased towards, helping his team only and whatever, but what he thought was like best for the league and best for, the flow of matches and all that sort of stuff. And you were definitely a huge help early on. and all that. And there's a lot of things I regret that happened over time, as far as like the drama went and the whole season 3 mess and all that and whatever. But Makers is definitely one of the early people I would have considered for the board and stuff like that, just because his input's always been valuable and all that. But like, just from my own perspective, you've been a huge part of the league and a huge help over time, and I think it's well deserved you being here on the list as well. But yeah, sort of tell us about your thoughts on your time in the league and some highlights during that time, and just whatever you want to talk about. Your huge sack, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. So I mean, we can talk about the sack later, but no, I mean, obviously, I am here still in Dash League, and COVID to me was like, people talk about being trapped in their house. Like, I don't have kids, and
COVID was sick.
I know, it was amazing. We were having these epic drama competition battles for like whatever dumb crown emoji crowns, but it meant so much because of COVID and there's nothing else in the world going on, so like we were having this whole like literal virtual world going on.
A literal world. It was another like universe.
Yep. And so and me being like an ultra competitive guy, like COVID, once COVID started shutting down the racetracks, like to me, that like me and Vert were heavy into that as COVID started hitting. Like literally, it was like yanking your everyone into VR right now. It's like someone just yanking your VR headset. You can't do this no more. It's like, what? Like we're we're competing in this stuff. Like, what are you talking about? And so for me, I was I probably would have been one of those people going nuts during COVID. But I got lucky, found the headset, jumped in the VR. Fathead, first guy I met. Lat, few weeks later, got me in link with the RDF guys and Esky and all. Like, we built the team, and you started this all happened like quickly. Like I started like 2 or 3 weeks into finding Hyperdash, and then the league started like weeks after that. So we're talking about months into like playing a game. It's like already the league. So like this things happened pretty quickly, but COVID timescale, it was like, that was like full time in there. It's like, if we're not in Hyperdash, we're after hours playing poker, or we're doing, like it was just like we had our own world. And so the things I got to say, aren't even really about me. It's more about the experience that I had that I appreciate. I've been a natural. I'm older, so I'm 42, and so I have competed in all kinds of different various things, non-video game stuff, and been. The older I get, the more of a natural leader position I end up falling into, and so when the whole D team started, or TBD as we started, it was not even me trying to like start something to own or control. It was more like I'm old enough to recognize sometimes there's people who just don't know how, or don't want to, or don't take that step, and then you just someone needs to do that. I've also ran enough teams where I know what it's like to be on a team with a culture you're not compatible with, or a team where they're not on the same page as you, or your trajectory as in your enthusiasm or skill of that thing that you're doing. So I also recognize that I wanted to establish a culture that I thought would be a winning culture. And so we've been talking about that word a lot here, but that was one of the early things. And if anything, the one of the reasons I wanted to be the person to start a team is to create a safe space. Toxic people, or passive, super passive aggressive, or super like these kind of like ultra negativity and all this kind of stuff. Like, I didn't want to like have a happy home with like somebody always like down and putting you down. Like, I don't know. So I basically wanted to establish a house with certain types of people, and that's hard to do. And I got lucky. Like it's not like, oh, I pick you, you're the right personality or whatever. It happened to be that we had a whole bunch of people who were on the same page. The TBDI guys, all those old guys, like, D was TBD, and TBD was those guys too. We started TBDI because of VRML, Euro stuff, and time zones and COVID lifting, so we had to split our team up. But that culture of there is the same culture we have as D without that ultra competitive part where it's, everyone's chill, they're brothers, and there's no drama within that team whatsoever, ever for years, other than, one like, outlier type of thing. But it's, the proudest thing I am of this game is the people I've met and the two teams that have come from that with the culture that has been established in those teams that, like, today I'm proud of. And so to me, that's the biggest comment, not the crowns or this or that or the winning or whatever. It's more of like, I found my people, and yeah, we went to the promised land, great, but it was more of, we found the people, and the other people found us too, and it's like it feels good. So that's all I really care, or that was my biggest takeaway from Dash League.
I want to ask you about something Moon said earlier about how I meant to ask him this, but I guess we're going kind of long. And sorry, but he said, like, well, this was his first gaming experience competing in a game experience, and to be on like the best team and to be winning everything. It's like, it's the ideal experience that you could have being a competitive gamer. And so I was kind of curious about, when you guys branched out to Breachers and Veil, and I, even to this point, I don't think you guys, I'm not even sure if you're in Breachers anymore, but you're not like, the Dynasty's solid #1 team, undisputed in Veil, and I don't think you were in Breachers and all that. And so it's like, with you, I'm sure you've been in enough competition that you've dealt with losing and stuff before. Not that you guys are like losing a lot of those leagues. You're definitely top teams in the other leagues when you were in those.
Ass and Veil, I might say, makers. I've heard stuff. You guys have been doing well.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're top team in Veil, just like Acers. I mean, you guys are. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, just like I'm kind of curious how the others took it, like Moon and Reko, and all them, go into these other games and not being that, that just undisputed #1.
So, I don't want to take too much credit for some things, but it would be nice if Moon or somebody was on here. But, since I've been in so many competitive environments of where there's quite a bit of money at stake, or it just takes a lot of money to even get into the competition kind of thing. I've navigated enough of the waters where, when we were having a winning trajectory, I was already preparing them for what happens when you start winning too much. Like when you have the haters and when you have that, like before the clan name stuff happened, as the 4D friction started, it's like, I was already kind of coaching up this is what it's going to be like at being the top, because if you've been there before, you've had to fight similar battles before. It's all the same story anywhere you go, kind of thing. And so they were already prepared for it. That's part of what was so amazing to see Reko and Moon and these guys. They like absorbed the information from not just me, but Vert was heavy in this as well. At this time, I think 1V kind of stepped back and he was like, all right, these guys have, the reins on this. But, we really, it was, everybody kind of had a good idea mentally ahead of time. And I would always talk to them about, since we've never lost before, that's going to be how we lose is going to be, a big factor, like how we take it. And we started to operate, like we talk about team culture. Our culture shifted in a way where we started operating, understanding where there's ego and emotions, where, somebody maybe have raged or had a bad day or perform. Like, so, we got all this stuff kind of to the side, and, it becomes more about like keep getting better, and you keep seeing the results, like the process. and I don't want to keep rambling. So the last thing I'll say is a lot of people focus on the end goal, which is usually winning. A lot of people, they're just thinking about like, man, if I can just get that crown, if I can just get that win, that first place, it'll be amazing. Like I'll accomplish all my goals. Well, the reality is that when you win that, that's a fleeting moment. You win that, it happens, it's gone. Like you're on to the next season. It is great. Yes, you have that on your notch on your belt, but it really isn't about attaining the goal. It's about the process of getting to that goal. It's that journey you got there, the battles that you had, the things you learned, the things that you can apply for the future. So that's the real thing that you get out of it. And for me, that was, seeing the team, instilling that, seeing them go to Veil, seeing them, learn, we're fish out of water. They took hits on the chin that weren't easy. They just got better and kept going. Like that's what you expect out of pros. And so, I don't know if I just got lucky with guys that are like, they understand it in their brain, the logic, they can process it and separate the whole like, oh man, I'm not just winning magically anymore. No, they understand. Well, this dude's a pro at Onward for 5 years and we're playing them. And yeah, we're from Hyperdash and this dude just headshotted me instantaneously. Yeah. You know what? Like I got to get better at this, like, so we have a lot of very strong minded people who, put ego to the side. And I think like, our culture as a team really is the secret sauce to handling the loss, to getting better, to how we won all the time, how we even kept that streak and not get complacent in all those years, when you had so much against you where you saw other teams get complacent, and so it's all from that culture.
So,
ramble over.
No, not rambling at all. It's all interesting stuff, and I hope someday that we'll have some VR game that breaks out and becomes like this big esport, like League of Legends or CS:GO and that sort of stuff. Like when VR reaches that level and has that breakout game, and it would be awesome to see D being the team that's there as like the team that dominates that game, knowing they had origins here in Dash League and all that stuff. So I root for D. I want them to have success wherever they are, and I think you guys have the right attitudes and all that sort of stuff. If there was one thing that could be a little bit different about D, is I do wish they were a bit more sociable. I would have liked to have gotten to know Reko a little bit and Fearless and all those guys, but you're all so quiet and stuff. But I think once the whole clan name issue, like once we got rid of them or the worst of them and stuff, and I know D's kind of moved on to other games and stuff, but it would be cool to like get to know those people a little bit more. And when you don't have people sniping at you so much, it's not the worst thing in the world to speak up and make friends and all that sort of stuff and not be so insular. So I mean that would be the only thing that I would say is like something I'd change about D. But other than that, I think you guys went about everything the right way. And well, other than getting your own little revenge that caused me to write new rules and stuff like that. Other than those headaches, but all the stuff you're talking about here, I guess, is what I'm saying is like the right attitude about things and all that. And like I said, I hope to see you guys on the leaderboards or as that like dominant team on whatever your next thing is that you guys move on to. And my headphones are about to die, so I think I'll need to switch them over. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next people, and everyone who's gonna come in and talk has been here, so we can kind of run through these others a little bit quicker. I think what we could do is like let's let Makers set up Dreday while I switch out my headphones and whatever. So let's talk about Dreday next, but you can take it away, Makers, and set him up.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, what's up?
Hi guys. I might have to go. I have class in 7 hours.
Yep.
But
All right.
thank you guys so much for having me on here. Can you give me like the list of the next people, and then I can say one cool thing about all of them, and you can just like edit it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Say go down the list. We've got Dreday, Gelearthur, Heis, Lat, and that's it. Everyone else we've gotten to.
Dre was fundamental to the excitement and pushing media in this game, like unparalleled level of excitement. Who is the next person? Was it Gilly? Or Heis?
Gelearthur.
He did all of the like technical backend stuff, right?
Yeah, he made like Hyperdash, the mod for
Yeah, I think
casting stuff.
He was kind of like, as far as I know, he was like the Styledev of interacting with the game. You need someone with technical skills, and he was that guy. And you know, he pushed a lot of the professionalism and so on and so forth forward. And for Heis, I don't know, very consistent backbone, always very nice, very kind, very fair. A lot of people, like, that I remember, not a lot of people, a lot of, like, random CLNM people didn't like him. Actually, I think it was just %. Just didn't like him, and I have literally never seen that. He's been super kind every single time I've talked to him. He's a great guy. He's been amazing in the league, and okay, yeah.
All right. See you.
Yeah, have a good one.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much for this. I assume I will get a trophy in the mail tomorrow.
No, dude, it's straight cash, 10K.
A turd trophy. Yep, on the way.
I'll send you Goose coin.
Yay, Goose coin. Okay,
turd trophy. Because if you can
also,
collect all the turds and then spray paint them gold.
No spray paint. No, he gets none of that. Just a turd in a box.
Goose, do you want an Acer profile? Because I can get you one.
Sure.
Okay. Because I looked at your profile and I was like, that's suspicious looking. It looks a lot like mine. No, but...
Wait, oh, you're jealous. I thought you had to get out of here, Odd.
Odd thinks he owns the colors black and gold now. I'll just say that.
They're so cool. They look so
look
cool.
Look at the Dash League logo right here. This new one here. What do you think?
Clearly,
Dash
you guys
League Acer League now?
Clearly, you copied Acer.
Clearly. All right, get the hell out of here. Go to bed.
Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you, people, for watching. Goodbye.
Have a good night.
So,
all right.
So we're on to Dre, right?
On to Dre.
So can I kick that off?
Absolutely. I got my new headphones, but yeah, go for it.
I mean, I said Fathead's one of my like favorite dudes in the league, but like Dre's like my top dude in the league. Like from the jump, he was the dude that was like, hey, I want to try to stream this game. Let me figure out how to like get the casting working. And the guys who know Dre, like he ain't like the computer whiz. He's more like he'll figure it out. Like he's determined to figure it out. Like he'll call somebody, ask somebody, he's humble enough to be like, I don't know how to do this, bro. And then, someone helps him, shows him, and then he learns, figures it out. So anyway, he set all this stuff up from the beginning, like the like whole like Puff story days, like right around then he's casting stuff. Like, so in the beginnings, he's the one that's like, amplifying the excitement. Like, it's one thing to play these scrims, but if nobody sees it, then like, it doesn't even matter. So then you add the dude who's like screaming on the mic, all hyped up. He starts figuring out OBS graphics. He's got like switchboards with like all kinds of stuff going on. He gets a second machine online. He's like doing all this stuff. Like the dude, like, you talk about teams like evolving strats and stuff. Like this dude, like the game he put on with the casting stuff was out of control. He would have his buddies, do like actual like stand up kind of intros. He would do like the little music videos or the any kind of spin off idea that he can come up with that's fun for the community and the league. If you can think you can dash type stuff or dash court and like. There's billions of things. Anything can come up with. He's like, boom, I got this idea. And then he just does it, And so Dre's the man. Everybody who was around, lucky enough to watch all those streams, he knew the hype machine that he was. And like, you know, even if his machines caught on fire and like the stream was like stuttering and stuff, at least he was screaming on the mic with the super hype, and then like you know, it was amazing. And so that's my dude. Always in my mind, I associate the beginning of like all this stuff with like Dre's hype.
And
so I'm glad he's on the list.
Even if I didn't get to experience him firsthand, I've gone back and watched his casts and like sprinkled some of that into my cast going forward, and he was a huge inspiration for me. And like I said, even if I didn't get to experience him firsthand.
Yeah, I feel it too, man. Keep that up. I mean, that's the thing. That energy is like that creativity, that freedom. You know, like that's what Dre was all about. Like,
oh yeah,
just do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm stoked about Goose, because like, you know, when Dre left, it was like it was awesome to have Firehorse step up, but Firehorse is not like, you know, Dre wasn't a commentator either, but he had the personality and the hype and stuff between maps, and could carry a conversation and make it fun and be funny and all that stuff. And Firehorse stepped up, and you know, he's not the same level of personality and all that, but he made up for it in like, you know, in the animations he would make and the assets package he brought to it to like spice up the cast and all that. And like, you know, Garbage Man was doing it for a while too, and all that stuff, but we haven't gotten like a fun personality like Dre until Goose, really. So I'm super stoked on Goose being here and like just having a fun personality and being a bit more hype than some of the other casters, and like, you know, being another person who's willing to put his face on screen, because I think that's one of the things that helped endear the league to Dre was he just, here I am, here's my mug, and
yeah,
you know, I'm just gonna like, yeah. So I've told a few casters like Jaded will put her face on screen, and I told those people it's like if you let people see you, and you know, just like any sportscaster or whatever, if you let people see you, it lets them endear themselves to you a little bit more, lets them identify with you more. They can see you. It's not just this like disembodied voice that they're hearing all the time. So I think Goose is doing it the right way, and he'll continue to like get better and all that. But you know, but
like Dre was the first one to really curate that and perfect it.
Yeah, and I was going to say Goose will be here as one of these legends at some point, but but talking about Dre right now. So obviously everyone knows that there was, you know, a falling out with Dre, and I don't want to get into all the details and all that sort of stuff. We could get more into that when we get to the lore episode up to that point. But the fundamental difference was Dre wanted to do things his own way, and it didn't matter to him really what the league needed in terms of, you know, various things and whatever. And it was like if you ever asked Dre to do something, he would get upset and all that sort of stuff. And it just over the, you know, Style and I touched on it a little bit, you know, with Dre and it being a struggle and that sort of stuff. But it was difficult to work with the guy, but you can't deny that like his casts were hype, and it helped the league grow, and it made all the matches, it made playing in the matches exciting because you were going to get to go watch it back. And you know, I've referenced UT 2004 a few times in this cast, and when I used to play and do matches and scrimmages and stuff back in that game, none of that stuff you didn't get to go back and watch it back unless you recorded your POV, and most people didn't even do that. And I remember back in that game, I had like maybe 2 matches that got streamed that I could go watch back, and I loved going and watching those back and whatever. And so to have Dre come in and take on the load of like casting almost everything was so awesome for the league and for our legitimacy as a league, and for people to have fun in the league and get to go back and show their parents, hey, watch me in this game, show their friends. If you are the parent, show your kids, hey, that's me playing right there, and all that sort of stuff. It was awesome for him to like have the passion he did for it and take on the amount of time that it took to get his cast to where they were, because man, early on they were just bare bones, And like you said, Makers, he took the time to learn all these new techniques. And he's like me; he's not a technical person. Dude doesn't know crap about that stuff. We have to find help. But once he gets it, he'll take the time and he'll learn how to do that thing. And then his cast just got better and better over time. And to be perfectly honest, I miss having his casts, but I don't miss the headaches of like that came along with working with him and that sort of stuff. But even all that aside, I did like that dude, and early on, I thought we were gonna, like Style said, I wish we had gone up and had a beer with him because we were both in Southern California, like maybe a 2-hour drive, and there were times where we're like, yeah, we'll come up and do that, but it was like it was during COVID and we kind of couldn't. And by the time things calmed down enough, then the relationship was already kind of strained and that sort of stuff. And we never really took that opportunity, and maybe that could have cleared the air on a lot of things. Because ultimately he thought that like anyone sort of, giving input on like how you can improve this or do that or whatever, he thought that, basically he thought that we were trying to take over his cast and make it our own, like steal his whole channel and all that sort of stuff, which was never the goal at all. In fact, I loved that I didn't have to worry about setting up a YouTube channel and doing all this stuff and having to learn how to do casting myself so that I could do all that stuff. And I loved that Dre was doing it, and I loved his personality, and I loved that he would, show his face and all that stuff. And Style and I had many talks with the guy, phone calls and stuff. And I remember telling him, like, dude, I want you to be the face of the league. I want you to be like what people see when they think Dash League. They think of you, and you bring them in, and you're the personality that gets them to keep coming back, even as just like a fan of watching these matches. Not like, say you're someone that doesn't have a VR headset, but you're interested in them and you like playing games online competitively, but you don't have that VR headset. But here's a VR game that is like super fun to watch and all that sort of stuff. And then when you get that headset, I'll be in there and I'm going to go join them where Dre is. Like, I wanted him to be that face of the whole league. And it's unfortunate things didn't work out better than that. But I still have bad respect for that dude, and I miss those days early on, dude. So you think you could dash, the dash court thing, that just absolutely ludicrous ideas that were just hilarious. His rap videos where he would like he had a handful of like songs that he made for Dash League. He would always
the whole
have
album.
like,
It's not just
yeah,
songs. There's like 12, 15, like enough time where he made an album of all of the stuff. It's crazy.
yeah, and before every finals, he had a whole intro that was amazing. I remember the twerking robots was just absolutely hilarious. I think that was before the finals for season 3. I loved it. It was so great.
And before you get too far along, I do want to touch a little bit on like some of what you're talking about with the fallout with Dre. Early on in the streams, I was one of the first to jump on board with him to help him, stream before, like, it was kind of one man band and he would have people every now and then. But or those early days, VRML was in the mix, like early days, Dash League. And you mentioned you wanted to fight for Dre and not have them replace it because they didn't want Dre in the mix. They wanted to have their own, media kit kind of trained casters put out there. They wanted like the proper professional ESPN style, like esport cast, and they didn't like, his style.
I think that they were going to be. I talked to them about Dre, and they were like, "Yeah, you could bring him over," but I saw all the other stuff. They were going to slap their own brand on everything. They wanted to be much more, I toned down and whatever. And they were going to. I already knew Dre didn't like to be changed, and they were going to change the shit out of Dre. And I knew he was just going to quit. He was going to be mad. He was going to think that we chose VRML over him. And so it was just one of the reasons I didn't want to go with VRML. I didn't want to lose Dre. So
Well, so yeah, he appreciated that, but my point of bringing that up is that in the early days, kind of like you were asking about how D handles not being like insanely dominant in these other new games. With Dre, we had this early conversation. It's like, dude, the suits are gonna come because remember, we thought this game was gonna blow up, right? And it's like this thing's gonna get it big, the advertisers, the money, and like whatever. So we had the conversation early, and we used to refer to ourselves as the pirate ship because it was like Dre had a principle, an ideal of no censorship, no control, freedom, complete freedom, like the pirate ship. That was his ideal, and I'm gonna do this and ride it until we sink. And that's with the VRML suits coming into the picture. It was like, this is it. We're gonna go out. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna go hard and whatever until VRML suits take us out. Then they go away, and then it becomes the next thing. It's like, and the next thing. It was like, until finally, the fallout was too much between you guys. But it wasn't a light switch. There was this awareness of that. My way of doing it is the way that I like it, but I understand that there's the powers to be against it. And we knew that the whole way until it was finally too much. And so Dre.
Yeah, but that
Dre,
makes me seem like. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Dre knew. I don't know. He kind of knew that you wanted things to be more normal, and he tried to do a little controlling. Like he would do some kind of crazy jokes before. Some pretty offensive stuff, and then he came controlled it a little bit, but he just didn't like that idea of being like having to conform to something. And you guys had two channels going on. You had the Dash League TV, and then yeah, Dash League Network, and like I mean, he kind of understood that, like, I don't know, we knew what you were trying to do with making things proper, like any league would do, and at the time of the COVID fun, like creative stuff was like coming to an end, and it was something we talked about.
Yeah, but that was never really even as far as like things becoming proper, like. Sure, the language and the language when he would make his blue waffle and red tide jokes and stuff like that, I was laughing. I thought it was funny and was enjoying it and all that sort of stuff. But it was like people like Kim, who's like, Mormon, wants to watch his matches with his kids, telling me like he has to watch all of his matches muted because they can't watch it with the language. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, we got a bunch of 13-year-olds in here who are like, they're gonna go, Google something I don't want to mention again, and then see that, and then they can't show their parents this thing because of the language. So, like, I went to Dre and I told him that, like, hey, we have parents who want to watch with their kids, and we have kids who want to watch with their parents, and a lot of the language just means that like they can't do that, and so it'd be good to like tone it down some. And I never told him you can't cuss at all because, like, I mean, I'm on these casts right here cussing up a storm. Like, I tried to hold it back for Moon, but I still slipped a goddamn in there accidentally and probably some other words. But I have a filthy mouth, and I think a filthy mouth is hilarious and whatever. So it's not like I'd rush in there and demand something of Dre and be like, you have to do this or else you don't get to do whatever. Like, what it would be is I would suggest something to him, and then he would get super offended and just threaten to quit. Well, I'm just not going to cast anymore for you if I have to do this thing, whatever. And then it's like, all right, Dre, have it your way. We want you to cast, and so we just back off. And then it's like with the language, like he threatened to quit when I asked him to like tone it down a little bit so that 13-year-olds can watch with their parents. And he was like, well, I'm going to take my. He never said I'm going to take my ball and leave. That's just the way I've always phrase it. He always threatened to quit. He's like, I'm going to drop you guys, and then you won't have anyone to cast.
I know, but I look at Dre as like an artist, right? It's like you don't go.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, hold on. I'm not saying that like. What am I trying to say? You're not wrong about all this stuff, but it's like it's just characterized a little bit. It puts me too much in the frame of mind that I'm like this studio suit that wants to make things rated G for everybody, but that's not the case at all. I would come to him with suggestions, and he would get pissed off at those, and then later, after a few weeks, he would incorporate that suggestion and like, and then it would be his idea or whatever, which it was fine. I never came in like, hey, you're not the one that thought about cussing less. That was my, like, I didn't care. I wanted it to be have more broad appeal so that we could attract as many people as possible. And if all of our casts are like super crass and that sort of stuff, and like the other two commentators with him didn't even know what the game was, and like we're just, early on he
Yeah.
had these other two people with him that had no idea what the hell they were talking about. It just detracted from the thing. And so
This
there
is
were
how.
things like that I would suggest
So
to him.
let me
And
let
so
me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like I have to jump in and say, like, for Dre, he's like a chef, okay? And it's like you prepare a meal for you, and then someone's like, you know what? If you, instead of steam the broccoli, you put the garlic in, and then like he's looking at you like, motherfucker, eat the damn meal. Like, I'm the chef, and like I understand what you're saying, but like, and I'm not saying that like Dre is the average guy and that everybody's like that and you should have appeased that. No, you were dealing with like an artist chef guy, like a creative type, and like that, who was especially passionate about being unbound, taking no criticism. It wasn't just you. Anybody who was like, hey man, if you change the indicator, make the text bit, and like he'd be like, man, F you, you go cast, that kind of mentality, because it's the same thing as a chef. It's like, how about you do, no man, you go and cook the meal, like, get out of my face, get out of the kitchen. And so I understood his personality type, and you did too at a bit. And I think it was just like, you tried to get him to make adjustments or whatever. He's just not that type. Like, there's other people that would make those adjustments and not bat an eye and not make a big deal out of it. But there's others that are like, nah, man, you're messing with my meal, like what I'm trying to create. And he was one of those guys. That's how I felt.
Yeah, that's sort of the crux of the problem. Whereas we were willing to, compromise and stuff, he was just so unwilling. And the thing is, it's like, not that it's my league and no one else has any ownership. I think Styledev and other board members and like these legends and you and Odd, we all own this league, and Dre owned part of the league too. But it's like, he would just kind of, he didn't want to make any compromises for what was better for the league over just what he wanted to do, what was fun for him, and fuck you, I'm going to do it the way I want to, despite what the league needs for for viewership or for health of the league or for any of these other things. And so that was where the headbutting came in. And of course, if it was just like he'd argue and refuse and whatever, that would be one thing. But just that he would always threaten to quit on you was always so annoying. It's like, well, I'm gonna quit. Back off, or I'm gonna quit. And it's like, dude, that's so petty and stuff like that. And then once we did have DLN, and to be perfectly honest, we only started DLN because we thought he was going to quit at some point. So we're like, we have to build our own casting apparatus, because at some point he's just going to quit. At some point we're not going to we're going to stand firm on something, and he's going to stand firm, and he's going to quit. So we need to build up our own thing, and so that's where DLN came from. He didn't want us to start our own channel. He was upset about that, but it's like we wouldn't have had to if we weren't having the problems that he was causing. And the thing is, even once we brought up DLN and we had our own casters and stuff, those casters were kept to different rules about only max of 4 people in the booth for one thing, because Dre would have 10 people in there, and it's like you have no idea what's happening. It's absolute chaos. And for some people they would like that, but for other people who are trying to watch the match and learn some stuff or whatever, it's like it's just like not fun to watch. And so, but anyway, we still let Dre. He still got to have as many people in the booth as he wanted. He still got to be Dre and do all of his stuff. We never got Dre to relent on things where we just came in and said, hey, do this, and he was like, okay, I'll do that. It was always he would first say no, threaten to quit, and then if something we suggested he wanted to do, then he would eventually do it a few weeks later or whatever. But the ultimate thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back was the cheating accusations that people would have with specifically Midnight, hopping into his booth and other team name players hopping into his booth to commentate, but just being muted the whole time and sitting there watching the live feed, not the 30-second delay, but the live feed, and being able to relay that information to their team in their own Discord. And I don't know if that ever happened. It totally could have, and Team Name for sure would not have been a team that would have been opposed to doing something like that, knowing their history and the other sort of bullshit that they pulled. So it makes perfect sense that with the rest of the community thinking that, like, here's a potential way that people are cheating, like, we've got to make a rule against that. Otherwise, it questions the whole legitimacy of the board if we're going to allow this avenue of cheating. So it's like the way if someone comes to me and says, here's a way that people can be cheating, I'm going to do the best I can to, like, avoid that stuff. And some things you can't avoid, like, people messing with their connections and trying to, like, lag switch and whatever. Like, you can't prove anything about that. So there's just no way to really enforce that, whatever. So you kind of just hope people don't do it and you leave it alone. But when it's clear that, like, okay, here's someone in a booth, they're not talking at all. They could be on another alt account in another booth where they're not muted and they're just relaying, oh, he's up here. The Rockets are on second arch right there. Oh, the Rockets just moved over. Like, you could totally be doing that easy. And it was something that we could have, like, shut down. It's like, Dre, you just can't have someone commentate their own player's match. No, I'm not doing that. Like, anyone who wants in the booth can be in my booth. I'm not doing it. Dre, we can't have that cheating avenue. No, I don't care. So it's like, that was a thing that
I remember.
Me and Style were just sort of like, we were done arguing with him over this stuff. So me and Style decided this is the thing we're going to stand on. And he's either going to do it or he's going to bail. And so we never kicked him out. People think that we kicked Dre out. We didn't. He left. Yeah. He left, and then he got super petty and, made up a bunch of bullshit lies and calling me like we'll get into all this when we get to the lore stuff. I already got into more of this than I wanted to right here. I wanted to, like, I didn't want this to be a bitch fest about Dre. I wanted to celebrate Jay, and it just turned into a bitch fest now.
No, well, and that's why I'm here to bat for him a little bit, and that's why I brought up we had an idea of the party coming to an end at some point, and in my brain, he was just like partying hard until he just couldn't anymore. Like I don't know, man. So we'll go into it in more detail, but I think in hindsight, it was good for him. He's like he gained all that time. When you're in the trenches, it can be hard to realize how much time you're putting into it. And he put in a ton of time, which is part of why he felt that he had the right to direct, like, his creativity so much, even though, like, you direct the league, and they're conjoined, so I understood, like, all that stuff, but regardless, I think in hindsight, we got the best of him for the best moments of during the peak of COVID. He was able to flex his creative muscles. We got to enjoy it. He enjoyed it. As the thing starting to become a grind is when, this came to a head, and I think it ran its course, and he's off doing other things, and with all his other freed up time, he gained all those kinds of skills after doing that, and we have all those memories. So Dre's always a legend,
and I believe he still has a podcast going on right now.
He still does. He still does podcasting. I think he'll stream some stand-ups in his garage. So his garage is like a studio for a bunch of local stand-ups, and they'll come by and they'll do their own podcast in his garage and all that sort of stuff. I think he learned a lot of skills through Dash League because he had the passion for the casting and all that stuff that helped him out with all this other stuff.
Which is awesome.
So I'm happy for that. He's happy doing all the other stuff he's doing. Like, I would, if it wouldn't be, just more contentious fighting and all that sort of stuff, if he came back and he was a little bit more laid back and whatever, I would love to have Dre do a cast from time to time and, like, bring all that old stuff, but I don't think he wants to. And I certainly don't want to be in a position where I'm having to argue with the guy and all that sort of stuff. And so while I miss the guy, I don't miss the fighting and all that sort of stuff. So it's just one of those things. But I still will recognize that as much as me putting time in to organize the thing, and Style putting time in to do the website, and so we can have stats and all that sort of stuff, Dre's time building out the casting apparatus was just as important as all the other stuff. And I think, to be honest, I think those are the three foundational things, is like, me putting the time in to organize and manage, Style putting time in for the website and that sort of side of things, the technical side of things, and Dre doing the casting side of things, and bringing the league to an audience, and all that. I think are like just the three-legged stool that is the stability of the early league and how it grew and all that sort of stuff. So mad props for Dre, and I still love Dre despite the fighting and all that stuff. He's a great dude, and to be perfectly honest, I miss that dude, and his personality. But it be what it do. So anyway, we've gone on for a long time. Let's
We're
get
almost
through
at
these
3 hours.
Yeah, this is crazy. I was expecting this thing to be an hour, but I like letting people talk and say the stuff they want to, and we've all sort of gotten a lot out of on each person. So let's run through. Next, we've got Gelearthur, and he's got he's put in here because of his the mod work that he did with the Hyperdash mod.
Oh yeah,
which makes our casting badass. We have and Styledev works with him also, and they together worked on the casting interface. And
but Helle went like balls deep, like further than anybody got in the game with assets and the tinkering in the background. I think he even triggered Triangle Factory, being like, "Bro, are you hacking?" He's like, "No, man, I'm trying to make the casting tool." And they're like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
And I think he even became an intern or something with them.
He did. Yeah.
So the dude's a legend in the background, and he's not the most vocal. He's not the most like, "Hey guys, look at me," but he's out there like making like the magic happen. So
and it looks so good. Like his scoreboard that he made looks so good in game.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's he's the only player to have a bot because he got that internship. So bot Arthur, that's Gelearthur's bot, which I think is an awesome honor for the devs to give someone a bot. So that's really cool.
That is cool.
So I didn't ask any of these Euros to be here because they were going to be sleeping and whatever. But otherwise, I'd have Haley on to speak and whatever. But props to Gelearthur. We really appreciate the work you put into to all the casting apparatus and all that
Yeah,
stuff. That's
he's
awesome.
like the mad genius, like in the basement, like that with like the lights real low or whatever. He's like that, like mad genius, like just making like all that crazy magic happen.
Yeah. Next on the list we got Heis, and so Heis, I don't know, maybe it was Odd that touched on it earlier that he was willing to. He was saying like, "Oh, I don't understand why a lot of people on Clan Name hated Heis." It's because Heis was one of the few people that would stand up to like their toxicity and try to be a reasonable person and try to make sense of things and like just try to, like I said, be that voice of reason, but in a nice way. And Heis is still, he's come on and been a board member, and he's been one of the more active board members and one of the ones I rely on more. And so I'm happy that we pulled him in, because really what I need on the board is I just need people to be active, giving feedback. And if you have ideas on doing stuff and good ideas, we'll implement those ideas. But what the board really is like, it's my feedback loop for like, okay, this is what I think I need to do with the league. What do you guys think? Or here's this particular situation. What should we do? And all this sort of stuff. All the people that think like I just make all the decisions and whatever. It's like it's not even close to the truth. I rely on the board a lot to give me feedback on what decisions, to the point that I don't like making a decision on my own. Anything that I think is significant at all, I always take that to the board. It's like, here's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? And whatever. And Heis is one of the people that's really active. He responds quickly. He'll have a full conversation about it. He'll be thoughtful about it and whatever. And he's also he is so nice that I feel that he's nice to a fault sometimes. Where like, some situation will happen and he'll go try to handle it and then come back and say, well, this is what I told him. It's like, no, Heis, that's too nice. You demand this thing. You tell them that like blah blah. It's like, oh, well, you might need to go do that. Like,
you gotta be mean.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do. There's certain people that I've tried all kinds of different tactics, and certain people you just have to be like, no, this is what it is, and we're not changing our minds. So do it, or else, or else. And so Heis is just like, he's a good like mitigating factor for like maybe sometimes when me or others would just be super angry about a thing. It's like, well, maybe like he thinks about it this way, like maybe blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, Heis, I get your point, whatever. And there's times when like we'll have Heis like draft whatever post that we're gonna post to an announcement because he might have a softer touch than someone else and whatever. And then so Heis has just been super valuable as a board member. And other than like toxic douche weasels in the community, he's well respected in the community and all that sort of stuff. And he's been with him. When did he join? Was he like, you would know better than me, Mavis, because he was TBDI. Was it like season 2 or season 3?
Probably season
Something like
2-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. So been
And
around for a long
maybe
time.
season 1, season 2, like could have been season 1-ish. He was like not the initial TBDI group, but like shortly after,
Right.
like really closely after that.
But
But
what's
yeah,
your sort of take on Heis being in that affiliated team with him and seeing him sort of behind the scenes in that regard?
I mean, it's interesting the things you say. I think I even said it to Heis directly like a few years ago about kind of his level-headed mindfulness and his ability to look at the other side. I mean, he has empathy. He has the ability to put himself in the other person's position, consider it. There's times when there's drama in the league against D, and then there'll be like maybe some internal Discord talk where it's like we're all part of one side, but Heis was always the one that was not clouded by that bandwagon or whatever the scenario was, and always was very mindful and even keeled when he would think about stuff. And that's a really good trait. And you say sometimes he's too nice to a fault, and it's because of that empathy. He considers how the other person will receive the message or the other person's position on it. And I mean, he's just a good dude who makes really sound judgment calls. And I've been lucky that the first team he found was TBDI, and I've known him from the beginning of his like Hyperdash competitive career, and got to see him go from a player just kind of trying to figure out how to play the game competitively to a board member helping make decisions and keeping the game moving, and like the work he's doing with the merch and all this kind of stuff. And so and also the TBDI guys, with Parsnip and all these, like, so there's a lot of these like good dudes where they it's like a little bit of a brotherhood, and Heis is definitely a central figure of that, like brotherhood that they got going on. Great dude. And I mean, I don't know, like if you put a list of like some of the best people in Hyperdash, like good even keeled people, it's like it'd be hard to put someone on top of Heis.
Yeah, as far as just like just genuine kind-heartedness and good person that like wants the best for everybody else and might even put other people before himself, sort of deal. It's like I would say also Heis is probably number one in that regard. And then like other people like Dahl and Ditz are like in those categories and stuff too. But Heis is just the amount of time I've gotten to work with him on the board and stuff, I've grown to have mad respect for the dude. And I'm happy that he's there to help me out. And what you said about the team, that he's just like that whole TBAI team. I have respect for teams also that can just be there to have fun because they know how much time commitment they have for it. Like everyone on TBDI, they're all like dads, and whatever, and they don't all have a whole bunch of time to like grind and try to get up to Dasher tier, and they're just happy where they are, having fun. And even though they might be Walker or whatever, like they still find it fun, even if they lose some matches. And I'm delighted in how much joy he took out of winning the Walker Championship, and all that. That it's that so many people just dismiss the Sprinter and Walker tiers and it's just like they don't matter because the Dasher players just care about the top and whatever. I remember when I set money aside from the prize pool to give to Sprinter and Walker teams, so many Dasher players were like, "What are you doing? Like they don't, you should give that money to like fourth place and then fifth place if you're going to do anything." It's like, no, you got to respect those other teams also, and make them know that they're important and whatever. So I like I said, I was delighted in how much joy he took out of that, and that was great. And he is putting so much effort into getting this swag stuff done and to get it right and all that. And it's been a bumpy road, us trying to figure out the budget, which exact items to do, and the timing, and to get all this stuff out. And like, yeah, I'm sure all you guys that won and have swag packs coming your way would have liked to have had them a month and a half ago. But we're just trying to get this operation underway where we're actually sending out all this different swag and stuff rather than just like having the devs, just pay people off. It's like now it's me that has to pay people when we're doing cash, and then I'm really bad at delegating stuff. I try to do too much stuff on my own to get all these tasks done, but I just could not do all the swag stuff also. It was way too much. So I'm super happy that Heis was willing to step up and take it as seriously as he is. I've seen the swag packs he's made, and like the pouches are coming in, all the stuff is coming in. It's like I'm like, damn, I want one of those. I want one of those so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people will be happy about that stuff. And that's all thanks to Heis. And so that's pretty much it. Last one on the list is me. Everyone knows me though, so don't really need to go into much of that. We've been going 3 hours already. So
yeah, I mean, I'll say a cap for you though. I mean, like, because we did say a lot about you already. Everyone knows you founded the league and you did all this stuff, and you made the like all that little anecdotal stories. But I mean, the thing is you're also a competitor. You enjoy actually competing, and that can be a hard thing to balance between like wanting to go out there and put your best and that kind of thing while dealing with like the monstrosity of like all these insane people trying to do the same thing, And so I used to joke in my team, when people would get mad about some rulings or decisions or whatever, like I would kind of joke with them about saying like, you got to have mercy on Lat because he's kind of like in the prison of his own design, and it's because like you have been here from the beginning through thick and thin, through the times when I know you didn't like it. I know you didn't want to deal with like the things that you had to deal with, but you stuck through it through all these years. And bottom line, I mean, the league wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and you did stick through it through all that time. And I don't know like how many people could or would. And so I think that's a testament to the strength of your character. So good job, Lat, for persevering. I don't know if you were bald beforehand, but I don't know now, but you have to be. Like that's why I call you bald, because you have to be after all these seasons.
Dude, beautiful mane.
No, it's just squeaky, shiny, like the sun reflecting 100% efficiency, bald, because it has to be.
Nope, I still got all my raging testosterone. I've got my full thick head of hair. No, but I appreciate that, Makers. I mean, being in a prison of my own design is like that's absolutely the perfect way to put it. There have been times when I wanted to just up and quit, where I started the process of thinking like, who do I need to hand the league off to? Who will put the time in and take it seriously and try to make the right decisions for the right people, and the right people being the people who want to have fun with everyone else and be sociable and be happy that other people are able to succeed, and the wrong people being, the people that come in and make the league less fun for other people because of their attitudes or because of their manipulations or because of their, just whatever it is. People who take fun, like derive their fun out of ruining other people's time. And it's like, so I've just always seen it as my responsibility to be that guardian for the people who are here to have fun and do it the right way, and stand in the way of the people who are there to like detract from that for other people for their own gain. It's like if you're here to like and you're causing all kinds of other people problems because you think it's fun, then get the fuck out of my league. Like you don't need to be here, whatever. But like that's more the Styledev approach of like get the fuck out. Me, I'm like I'll give this person chances. I'll talk to them specifically. I'll be like you got to stop doing this. Blah blah blah. I'll try to reason with people. And I used to do that a lot more, and now I'm just much more jaded on that sort of stuff and much more short about it. And I'm happy to have this season we have a strong like head mod crew who's willing to take on the behavioral issues and that sort of stuff and finally let me like not have to be involved in all that sort of stuff. And so that's been working out pretty well so far and whatever. But also things like, again, about a prison of my own design, times like, and we'll get into some of this stuff in lore episodes or whatever, but I remember in season 1 when Odd was playing Other, when Ark had a match against Other, and Odd recruited this player named Nub, who was one of these Fathead style players that just plays all sorts of different games and is a top level player in all the games he plays.
Yep.
Ark recruits this player, but he was like not eligible to play because it hadn't been 24 hours or whatever. And the reason that there's a rule that you have to have, if you recruit a new player, you have to have 24 hours before they can play is it's just a ringer rule. It's like, it's just to give the other team some time to prepare for that player. Like, hey, we pulled in this great player, and you guys weren't expecting it, weren't ready for him, but we just pulled him in 5 minutes ago. He's going to be in our match. Fuck you. And it's like, no, you got to give us some time to prepare. You can't just pull a ringer out of your ass and whatever. And so they recruited this guy like, less than 24 hours. Like, I think it was about to be match time, and I had to make a decision right then. And the thing that Odd claimed was actually, no, it wasn't right before the match. And I think the ringer thing might have been longer. It might have been a week or something like that, because I remember we had this sort of back and forth. And the thing was, Odd was claiming that they're going to have to forfeit the match if Nub can't play. And I come to find out before the match ever happened that Odd was available to play, but Odd just didn't want to because he wanted Nub to play. So they had enough people to play us. They wouldn't have forfeit. Odd just totally lied about it. But instead of being, nope, Nub can't play, benefit my own team, others, so that whatever, instead I like put it up to a captain's vote. It's like, here's the rule, here's what happened, you guys vote. And of course people voted to let Nub play, and Nub came in and like, wrecked the shit out of us. And, Ark destroyed us and whatever. And it's like, I felt like I couldn't just say, nope, Nub can't play, because some people would be like, well, there's bias. You just didn't let him play because he's playing against your team and whatever. So all the people that want to throw these bias claims and stuff like that, that's not the only situation where I've had to like decide against my team in a scenario where I feel like I shouldn't have had to and whatever, but I did because just trying to avoid the look of bias and, all that sort of shit. So yeah, my hands have been tied a lot of times on situations where it's not fair to me, but it's like, just to keep harmony in the league and the typical asshats that would try to turn it around on me and make me look bad for that sort of stuff, just trying to avoid that sort of bullshit. So, but yeah, to be honest, I'm a super competitive person, and I started the league because I wanted to compete, obviously. And if I wasn't able to also compete in the league, I don't know how long I'd be able to stand doing all the work, trying to run things and all that sort of stuff. Like I do it because I like to compete, and of course I also do it because I feel a responsibility for people to like to keep this league running in a way that is fair, where competition can remain balanced, because it's like we've seen what's happened in other leagues, when Hyper Cup was a thing, and it was run by the people who it was run by, and how quickly that crashed and burned. Because when you have self-serving people running a league, it's like other people are going to pick up on that and be like, no, that's not fair. You're playing favorites to your team. Like, I'm going to leave. And so that's exactly what happened with Hyper Cup, and it's what happened to other leagues that have started and stuff like that. And I feel like I don't know how many people are here that would be willing to put in the time, but also willing to eat shit on some decisions, just to avoid the look of corruption and stuff like that. And then also to take that seriously, to have, I could have just run all everything by myself and never created a board, but I specifically brought on a board because I wanted to have, a feedback loop that if I was about to make a stupid decision or a bad decision, that they could stop it and help, give me the feedback, and we bounce ideas off each other to make sure we're coming up with the right decision. And sometimes even collectively as a group, we make a dumb decision or something like that. But I and the board in general have always been willing to issue a big announcement apology saying, like, we made a mistake here. We're sorry. We're going to try better. And then we have implemented changes to make sure things like that don't happen again and whatever. So we take it seriously, and, it's, I don't know.
Well, one thing that I think you've done really well is that you know that you're human and you can't run all of this by yourself. So again, like, you set up the board, you've created this entire like media team to get all of this happening. Like that's one thing I commend you for, is that you're willing to delegate and get people doing what they like.
So one thing on that, I have to give some appreciation to the casters, in that one thing that I used to have to do more and now I don't have to do hardly at all, that is such a huge load off my shoulders, is the casters among themselves looking to get all the matches covered. Dashol's great about it, Goose, you're great about it, but like all the other casters being like, hey, these matches, no one signed up for these yet. Who's available to get these? And then someone's like, I can move this around and try to get that one if you can get this one for me. And like, you guys do a great job of making sure things get covered, and I don't have to come in there and keep an eye on the calendar and be like, this one's not being covered, who can get this? Like that saves me so much time, and it's something that I don't have to focus on. And
but again,
thank you guys so
that's
much for that.
like you are so welcome. But like the delegation thing is like huge. Like you don't have to do that because you put the right people in the spots to do their jobs, so that you don't have to even worry about it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I feel like, especially this season, because we've done so many things different, we're trying to get a surplus of swag stuff so we can start doing giveaways on casts, and these 1v1 fight for the rights where we're giving away these 3D model guns, and organizing that with Willow and trying to get the merch store up. And I'm so close to getting it there, but it's just been super time consuming with all the other stuff that I have my hands in so many pots right now that, to be perfectly honest, I feel like I'm terrible at delegating because I'm doing too fucking much, and it slows down the other stuff. Like this Legends thing, I meant to have this ballot out like before the season even started, and I completely forgot about it, and luckily remembered about 3 weeks ago, oh yeah, this week off that we have, we're supposed to do Legends there, and I got the ballot up, and even just doing that ballot took forever. And it's just like I still feel like I need to delegate a little bit more, but not that the people on the board are not willing, they totally are, but the board goes through phases where people are like inactive, and not to name any names right now, but there's a certain percentage of people on the board right now that have other things going on in real life and aren't able to help out so much. And no knock on them at all. They need to be doing those things that they're doing. Like one of them is closing on a house and has been looking for a house for his family for all this time and One of them is in school, like getting a new certification to get a better job and all that sort of stuff. It's like, Styles a new father and like all this. So there's reasons that people can help out with more things, but the ones who are active, I can delegate some things to, and they've been super, super helpful and all that. So I feel like I need to do more delegating, but I'm that person that doesn't like to dump work on people. And it's like, I'm the person that, Lazarus told me once that like, you're always the person that makes the announcements. And so that's why people think you're a tyrant, because every time something happens, you're the one announcing it. Every time some punishment comes down, you're the one announcing it. And so it's like, okay, we need to spread this out. And like other people can make announcements and do this and that. But it's like, I hate like, like I just said, we delegated behavioral stuff to the head mods, and that's been a huge burden off of my shoulder, because I always hated, this person's doing something wrong and someone needs to intercept. Hey, Heis, go over there and intercept and deal with that bullshit over there. I'm too busy. Like, I hate that. Like, I would always be the one that would go in and take on those battles so that the other ones didn't have to, so that if anyone was going to be hated, it was going to be me. It's like Styledev came in here earlier. It's like, it's a total joke that everyone thinks Lat is the one that's like, he's the one that just wants to ban everybody, or he's the total asshole. It's like, no, that's me. I'm the one that would do that. It's like, so it's like, yeah, like I always like, told Style, like, let me handle it. Like, just, I'll deal with it. No, I don't want to ban this person right now. I want to give them a chance, and then I'll be the one talking to that person, trying to reason with them and stuff, and then they're not receptive to it, and they hate me, and now they talk shit about me behind their backs, and now their whole team hates me, and all their friends hate me. It's like, I've never wanted that for the rest of the board, so I've just kind of taken that shit on myself, and so I guess it just comes with the territory to have some enemies in the league, to be the lowest voted person that actually get into the legend.
It is part of the territory, lad.
Yeah, it's funny that like
you think Goodell
NBA,
gets all the votes? No, he gets 0 votes.
I was about to say, anytime there's a draft and the NBA commissioner like comes out, or the NFL commissioner comes out, it's boo. It's like, those guys do so much work.
You're
for
the
those
devil.
It's like, it's like, fuck you. It's like, so I know it sort of comes with the territory, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to complain about it, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect me and make me not want to do this sometimes, but like.
But you signed up for it. Like, you can look in the mirror and be like, you did this to you.
If I didn't have a thick skin, then I wouldn't be then I wouldn't be like doing this. I know that I'm going to catch shit, and I'm just going to, just have to deal with it, but whatever. And, so whatever. I guess we can cut it there. Yeah. This was a long conversation.
You could cut in that Elton John song, "I'm Still Standing,"
Yeah.
And then cut to that, and then fade to black.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, but I think this was a great conversation. I enjoyed having everybody on here and hearing from these, like Darkmoon. I don't think I've ever said 3 words to the guy, so like hearing him talk was great.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, it's 1:45 a.m. right now for me and Makers. It's like, what, 12:45 for Goose?
Yeah.
So like, we started late, and it went on. Like, I was thinking this would maybe go on for an hour, and I was telling like Fathead and Style and them, I'm like, 5 to 10 minutes in and out and whatever. And like, I think each person talked for like a half hour or something like that, which is, to be perfectly honest, I enjoy that. I like it. Like, if I will watch a 3-hour long podcast. I'll listen to a Dan Carlin 40-hour long history lesson on like the Mongol Empire. I love this stuff.
And
I know
honestly,
a lot of other people have shorter attention spans, but like this long conversations like this are my jam. I love it.
And like, just quit the best podcast, but anyway.
I mean, honestly, this is the Legend Show. Like, we should be like talking about these people for a long time, so they deserve it.
Well, and I knew I drank 2 cups of coffee at, I think 9 p.m. on a weekday, because I 100% knew what was going to happen. There was no way that was going to be fit. Oh my God. I mean, I've been on enough of these things to know how much rambling goes on. And I know about my own rambling that I have to like control. And so when I see the other ones like just like have no control, it's like, go ahead, bro. I'm just like you, man. You know? And so, yeah, that's how it goes, man. But it was great. I enjoy it. I enjoy the freedom.
Yeah,
There's
me
so
too.
much to say, a lot of details, and always when you're, even how long this went, there's always things you forgot to mention, you know. And so, I
And
appreciate you, Goose, for sticking around too.
oh yeah, no problem. Like for me, being a relatively new player and a new person to the league, like hearing all of these stories just like brings me so much joy because it like fills my head with all of this lore that I never got to experience firsthand.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people have enjoyed the lore and stuff like that. And to be honest, like for future lore episodes, yes, we want to do more of those. We were planning on doing a lore episode this week and then also a separate Legends show. But it's like Legends is kind of like basically lore anyway. So like let's
Right.
just cut the extra show and do this. I'm so glad we did.
It would have been
And
5 hours.
It's actually yeah, it actually is gonna take me a lot of time to like get prepped for lore episodes because what I'm doing is I'm rereading through the captain's chat, and there's just tons of posts and tons of things to get to. I'm trying to take notes as we go, so it'll be kind of a process for me to be able to like jog my memory of all the real lore stuff. The beginning of the league and the early days of the league, that was easy because like those are such foundational memories for me here in the league. But once we get into like what specifically happened in season 1 and what specifically happened in season 2, like there are big overarching things, and if we would just want to rush through lore, then we could do that in probably 2-3 episodes. But I kind of want to get into like more of the nitty gritty and like some of the things like the smaller issues, like the nub thing that I just mentioned. That's like a small minor thing that happened over the course of a day or two, but it's still
Right.
something I want to talk about and like just commiserate over and whatever. So anyway, we'll do more lore episodes. We'll do other fun segments, stuff like that. We'll try to keep the show fresh and interesting. And just a little comment on like how this Legends thing is going to continue in the future. Like any Hall of Fame sort of thing, if someone doesn't get voted in first ballot, they'll be on that next ballot able to be voted in, and you'll have a few new people brought into the ballot, and so eventually someone will like time out. Like if you're on like I don't know what is it 3 or 5 ballots or something like that. After a while, it's like okay, you haven't been voted in now. You just don't make it in the thing. And so we're gonna knock you off and bring in more new names and whatever.
And that could have been
all the
you,
people-
Let. So if you were worse, like in an alternate reality thread, like there was a worse Lat, and that's what happened to him.
Yeah, the most hilarious way that this could have turned out is that I didn't get voted in, and I don't get voted in next time, and I never get voted in. Like that would have been the hilarious way for it to work out. And I guess I
And then
couldn't
you
have been
quit
too
at
mad
the
at
end of that. You're like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Once my name gets pulled off the ballot because I didn't get there in the first 5 tries, I'm like, all right, fuck you guys. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of this shit. Nobody loves me. But anyway, so again, so the people that are in first class of Legends inducted: Darkmoon, Dreday, Fathead, Gelearthur, Heis, Lateralis, Makers, Odd, Reko, Style, all deserving. The people who didn't make it in, who will be on the ballot next time for you to vote for them next time, as well as some new names. And I hope you guys will give these people consideration and not just the new names or whatever, but Angry Parsnip, who is the father of the MMR and the SR system. We wouldn't have this system going the way it is without Angry Parsnip.
That's my man.
So I really thought I thought he should have been in this first class. Eskimo Bear, one of the early high level players, right there with
man.
Moon and Reko and all that.
My co-founder. Anyway.
Yep. Firehorse, who, like I mentioned before, one of the people that pick up the slack that Dre left behind, and picking up a ton of casts, making assets for us to make the cast more exciting and stuff. So he'll be on that ballot again next time. Gamer Smash, another one of the early great players. Gatsby, one of the original board members and one of the people that helped build a lot of the foundations, and
super
also
gay.
a sociable person. Yeah, super gay guy, but we love him. Laggy, another like
he's awesome.
really like dominant player, and also just fun-loving, awesome personality.
Yeah, good dude.
Love that
One
dude.
of the best.
Mr. V. Yeah, well, Laggy's back. Did you know he's playing in the league again this season?
No, I didn't realize he was actually playing. I have to look
No,
out
he
for that.
he played. Yeah, he played a match or two, and I think in his first match he top killed, top scored, something like that. But he's playing for Ajax. Ajax
damn.
pulled in Laggy and Inepticom.
Oh, damn.
A couple of like amazing pulls. Yeah,
I don't know how they did that.
I don't know, dude.
You
But
gotta
I'm
investigate
super happy those
the
two are
wire
back.
transfers.
You know, Inepticom could have easily been on this list, but he's just been gone for so long. I guess I didn't think about it, but Inepticom could have been one of these because he's a great player, great player too. Mr. V on the list. Mr. V is on there because, you know, as a board member, one of the early board members, but also he's the first person to like master rockets and teach people like, oh, you really can use these rockets effectively by curving them around and stuff. And he's also the first person to like master the sniper. So like, you know, the most precise weapon and the least precise weapon, a big splash area damage weapon, and you know the very precise sniper weapon, and he only plays those two extreme ends of the spectrum and screw everything in between.
And the first shield main too.
Yeah, true. Sniper and shield. Yeah, he's the only person that has like really made that effective early on. I think the meta passed that up pretty quickly by like season 3 or so. But I'd be interested this season. I haven't seen Mr. V play it all this season, but I'd be interested if he's still like sniper shielding it, or if he's
actually, I
adjusted,
posted
like...
a highlight from early, like the first cycle of him on Waterway killing B, capping B, and then going to the enemy point, like headshotting somebody with the sniper, and then button holding with his shield as the other player comes up and like fails to counter. I was like, I clipped that. I was like, bro, that's like classic Mr. V right there. That literally
Vintage
was like
Mr.
back in
V.
the yeah, vintage
I
Mr.
love
V.
it.
Yep.
So another one on this list was Fearless, and you know he spells his name backwards, so Cell Wraith basically, but Fearless, and he's a brother to Reko and a brother to Darkmoon, and one of those early D players. I think around season 2 is when he stopped. Like that season where you guys lost those 3 matches was when like Eskimo was kind of like not paying attention so much anymore. Fearless was sort of on the way out. And I think you just had some people on the team that weren't taking it as seriously, and so needed to replace those people. And like next season, that's when Koala joined the team, and the season after EP and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So he definitely was part of that original RDF crew rise, and then won season 1 finals, was in the season 1 finals against Arc, and then after that he didn't really feel the competitive scene, you know, like the atmosphere that was happening at the time, and he wasn't super competitive, and he was just like, nah guys, I don't want to like, you know, go into the battle with everybody. And so but he was I still say it to this day, he's like the most natural person I've seen in a video game, as in like it doesn't look like he's playing VR, it looks like he's like inside VR. And so a lot of inspiration of some of the shield work and payload work was like watching him just like naturally do what he did. Anyway, we'll keep going down that list.
Yeah, well, the last one on the list is Taser, another like original. I think he was the first, maybe season 1 runner-up to NVD. So
before Reko was known, it was the Taser talk. Everyone was like, "Bro, this guy's like the best in the game," you know, and like, man, that's
true, dude. That's true. That's some lore that I forgot about. It was like Reko won out on that NVD because, I mean, well deserved. I think it was probably by looking at stats that people came to that, but not being. I mean, Taser wasn't someone that like spoke a lot, also. But the thing with Taser was that he had, in season 1, it was a whole bunch of like OGs that had been there, early alphas and whatever. And Taser, by like before season 1, had only been playing for a month, and like quickly just shot up to like one of the best players in the whole league after just playing for a month, whereas the rest of us had been playing for, by that time, I don't know, half a year or something like that. And so Reko ended up winning that MVD out, and then it was like all Reko all the time. But yeah, there was that conversation early on, Taser and Reko. So yeah, he's definitely on that list as a player candidate for Legend, and he'll be on there eventually. A lot of these people should be on there eventually. So next season we'll have all those names that didn't make it, as well as some number of names that will bring in new. And it's not going to be like, we're not just going to skip right up to present day and be like, okay, all these current people on there. We're going to go sort of chronologically and get all the names up to like present day. So it might be people who are big impacts in season 2 or something like that. So it'll eventually catch up and whatever, but just be prepared for next season. It'll be still kind of an OGs list and whatever. And we'll probably take in like 5 people or something like that. We don't want to do 10 every time because we'll be done with it by, season 10 or something like that. So
right.
Anyway, thanks for sticking with us through this entire Gladiator movie, Braveheart movie, Lord of the Rings movie length podcast here. And appreciate Goose and Makers staying up, having a fun conversation and all that. And
absolutely.
I guess we can all say goodbye. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Later, everyone.
Goodbye. Take it easy.